Chairperson of the Senate Committee on Finance, Senator Pampiro Lacson, the DND sponsor, other members of the committee, Senator Lacson, Senator Jonathan, sir. I'm honored to present the budget proposal of the Department of National Defense for fiscal year 2019. The scope of my presentation is as shown, as supposed to be shown in the, but I'll just read it, sir. Basahin ko na. The scope of my presentation is the following: mandate and mission, thrust, then the program expenditure classification, performance indicators and targets, fiscal year 2019 budget proposal, and significant features of the budget proposal. Pursuant to Executive Order number 292 as amended by Executive Order number 112, series of 1999, the Department of Defense is mandated to maximize its effectiveness for guarding against external and internal threats to national peace and security, promote the welfare of soldiers and veterans, and provide support for social and economic development. In line with this mandate, the mission of the Department of Defense is to guard against external and internal threats to national peace and security, promote the welfare of soldiers, veterans, and their dependents in order to attain national security, uphold sovereignty and territorial integrity, and support socioeconomic development and political stability. To pursue this mandate and mission, we have set five program thrusts for fiscal year 2019 as follows. Sovereignty and territorial integrity of the state is secured, internal stability promoted and sustained, highest standard of capability and preparedness on disasters attained, operations support to global peace and security improved and sustained, and good governance. Allow me to present the organizational outcome and performance targets of the Department of Defense attached agencies for fiscal year 2019 under the Program Expenditure Classification or PREC-C structure. For 2019, to attain the desired level of support to force employers in the prescribed readiness condition, the Philippine Army shall maintain 204 tactical battalions and 83 ready reserve battalions with 81% and 65% operational readiness respectively. It also aims to achieve 90% effective strength of tactical battalions that can be mobilized within 1 hour as dictated by the higher authorities. The Philippine Air Force, on the other hand, aims to provide 100% mission capability of its Tactical Air Operations Group in support to the Unified Commands. To achieve this, the Air Force shall maintain 154 various types of aircraft in its inventory, respond to 90% of its flight-directed mission within 1 hour, and achieve 100% of its target flying hours. Similarly, the Philippine Navy aims to achieve 100% mission capability of its naval units, provided to the Unified Commands. To attain this, it shall deploy and sustain 117 units for utilization, prepare 40 units for deployment, and sustain 134 force-level support service units. The General Headquarters, AFP, shall deliver its organizational outcome of protecting the sovereignty of the state and the Filipino people through its three programs, namely Joint Force Planning, Joint Force Operations, and Joint Force Capability. For the Joint Force Planning Program, GHQ commits to formulate, adopt, and issue 138 military plans and policies. Under the Joint Force Operations Program, it shall conduct 140 bilateral and multilateral engagements, 193,226 joint operations, and 5,944 security operations for the President, the First Family, visiting heads of state, and other distinguished personalities. For the Joint Force Capability Program, the GHQ likewise commits to provide quality healthcare treatment and services to 10,852 military personnel and dependents, treat 90% of patients within the accepted length of stay, per case and provide training for 1,300 PMA cadets and 146 military students of the Command and General Staff College. Lastly, for the AFP Modernization Program, the GHQ aims to have 10 procurement contracts signed within the year. May I also present the performance targets for DND civilian agencies for 2019. The Department of Defense proper, or the Office of the Secretary, commits to accomplish 100% of its targets based on DND proper policies and of 80% of its policies and strategies accepted by the President and the Cabinet. To attain this, DND proper shall develop 131 key document products in accordance with the implementation of the Defense System of Management, or DSOM, 13 KDPs for our international defense and security engagements, and 1 DND-wide program performance and budget execution review, or PPBER report. Meanwhile, in order to achieve 116.25% supportability of AFP small arms ammunition requirements for 2 basic loads, the government arsenal shall continue to manufacture 40 million rounds of small arms ammo with a 98% acceptance rate of its manufactured output based on standards. For the Office of Civil Defense, OCD, it aims to improve the resilience of communities to disasters through its Civil Protection Program, which has 2 sub-programs, namely Civil Defense Enhancement and Disaster Risk Reduction and Management. The OCD's Civil Defense Enhancement sub-program shall capacitate 1,512 volunteers and maintain 18 emergency operation centers nationwide. On the other hand, through its Disaster Risk Reduction and Management sub-program, OCD shall provide DRRM training and learning initiatives for 266 sectors, of which 10% is projected to be assessed on disaster readiness and resiliency, and another 10% shall be provided with information, education, and communication, or IEC campaigns. The National Defense College of the Philippines, meanwhile, is responsible for the capacity improvement of defense and security leaders. For 2019, it commits to produce 22 research papers and 11 publications on defense and security policy studies. It shall also continue to conduct the Master National Security Administration MNSA course with 65 enrollees and graduates. For the Philippine Veterans Affairs Office, its goals are to empower Filipino veterans and to demonstrate the Filipino people's appreciation and gratitude to the veterans through its 3 programs. Under the Veterans Welfare and Benefits Administration Program, PVAO shall process 92% of benefit claims within 10 working days upon receipt of complete documents and provide non-pension benefits to 9,998 recipients. Through its Veterans Affairs Management Program, PVAO aims to conduct 42 veteran-related engagements and assist 42 veterans organizations. Under its Veterans Memorial and Historical Preservation Program, PVAO shall maintain 8 existing shrines, manage 13 veteran celebratory events, and produce 4 publications. Lastly, for the Veterans Memorial Medical Center, or VMMC, its primary responsibility is to deliver quality health care services to veterans and their dependents. To support this in 2019, VMMC shall provide health care services to 8,500 inpatient and 170,000 outpatient veterans and their dependents. VMMC shall likewise provide immediate attention and treatment to emergency ward patients. DND budget proposal for fiscal year 2019. To provide the resources to accomplish our goals as earlier discussed, allow me to present the Department's budget proposal for fiscal year 2019. Based on the National Expenditure Program, or NAP, the Defense Department is allocated a total budget of 251.17 billion pesos, of which 183.12 billion is for regular fund. The regular fund is distributed as follows: 115.08 billion, or 46%, for personal services, 37.88 billion, or 15%, for maintenance and other operating expenses, MOOE, and 30.15 billion or 12% for capital outlay. The allocation for veterans and AFP pensioners, which is under the Pension and Gratuity Fund, is 68.05 billion pesos or 27% of the total DND budget proposal. Compared to the DND budget for this year, our fiscal year 2019 budget proposal is higher by 24% or 49.03 billion pesos. The variances for each expense class include personal services with the biggest increase of 35% equivalent to an additional 47.33 billion pesos. MOOE with an increase of 745 million or 2%, and capital outlay registering an increase of 958 million or 3%. Distribution by budget structure. The distribution of the regular allocation based on the prescribed budget structure and how it compares to the fiscal year 2018 budget is shown as follows. Operations increased by 28%, while General Administration and Support, or GAS, decreased by 15%. For pensions, which is included under the Pension Gratuity Fund of the expenditure program, the provision for the AEP retirees increased by 42%, equivalent to 17.26 billion pesos, to cover pension adjustment with the implementation of Joint Resolution Number 1 or the increase in base pay of military and uniformed personnel. On the other hand, the allocation for veterans decreased by 14% or 1.6 billion pesos due to the one-time payment of total administrative disability or TAD arrears. Distribution by program. This slide shows how the DND budget proposal is distributed to DND line agencies under the regular fund. The share of the Armed Forces of the Philippines is 177.64 billion pesos, posting a 23% increase from the current year's budget. Meanwhile, the allocation for civilian agencies totals 5.47 billion pesos, which is 5% lower than the 2018 appropriations. Significant features. I shall now present the significant features of our budget proposal for 2019. The personnel services allocations shall support a staffing summary of our line agencies composed of 145,957 military personnel and 12,392 civilian employees and 68 CAFGO elements. The significant increase in personnel services of 43.33 billion pesos can be attributed to the following. Fourth tranche compensation increase for civilian personnel under EO201. Second tranche compensation increase for military personnel under Joint Resolution Number 1. Implementation of Joint Resolution Number 1 for the increase of pension for military pensioners. Fill-up of additional personnel, terminal leave and retirement gratuity benefits, and other personal services adjustments. On the other hand, the increase in maintenance and other operating expenses, or MOE, is 745 million pesos. The next slide shows a summary of increases under MOE net of non-recurring projects. 938.82 million due to adjustments on inflation-indexed items, 756.02 million as additional fund for ammunitions, 214.82 million for the MOE requirements of equipment acquired as part of Capability Upgrade Program, CUP, projects, 186.87 million for the sustainment of CAA company, 185.08 million as provision for additional troops, 99.40 million for the periodic maintenance and servicing of BRP Davao del Sur, 62.81 million for ICT MOE requirements of MITHI, 44.31 million as adjustment for the revised allowance of AFP military personnel, 24.77 million for the expansion of existing programs, activities, and projects, 20.75 million for MOE of acquired capital outlay projects, 6.3 million for the price increase of drugs and medicines for VMMC, and 1.3 million for the activation and operationalization of the AFP Cyber Group under GHQ. On capital outlay, there is an overall increase of 958 million pesos after non-recurring projects were factored out. The resulting increases are due to the following: 1.62 billion for the provision of additional troops, 822.32 million for the third-year requirement of the Philippine Navy's dry docking program, 796.94 million to support mobility requirements, 478.29 million for the expansion of existing programs, activities, and projects, 464.44 million for hardware requirements of computerization projects, 298.89 million to acquire assault rifles for additional troops, 243.54 million for the construction and enhancement of base and base support facilities, 155.2 million for capability enhancement for maritime situational awareness, 18 million for the procurement of equipment and construction of overhead tank for the government arsenal, 15 million for the acquisition of heart-lung machine of VMMC, and 4 million for the additional 8 K9 dogs of the PSG. Your Honors, I have presented the 251.17 billion peso budget proposal for the Defense Department for fiscal year 2019 and its significant features. Rest assured that all of us in the department shall continue to pursue our mandate and achieve our goals with deeper commitment and dedication to ensure a stable national security environment conducive to economic growth and development. That ends my presentation, sirs. Thank you and good day.
Thank you, Secretary Lorenzana. The Chair acknowledges the presence of Senator Wayne Gatchalian and Senator Francis Kiko Pangilinan. Good morning, sirs. Okay, I'll ask some specific questions. And my concern is the first, yung AFP modernization. It seems that you should be submitting by now, or you should have submitted by now, your accomplishment report, because I just asked my staff, merong sunset provision na dapat accomplish na yung modernization, yung RA 7898 as amended by RA 10349. Yung mga releases, I think almost done. So we want you to submit to this committee and the Committee on Defense and Security, chaired by Senator Nasan, yung inventory of equipment that you have so far procured and the status of those equipment. Can you do that?
Yes, sir. We will submit that to this committee.
So that Congress, joint ba yan, Lisa? So that Congress can review kung ano yung nagawang accomplishment out of the AFP modernization program. So far, 168 billion plus have been released to the AFP. And gusto namin lang makita ano ba nangyari doon sa 168 billion. And ano yung accomplishments out of the procurement of those equipment.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you. Second, how does the Philippine Marine Corps recruit their personnel? Maybe si Robert, Poik, maybe?
Sir,
Can they recruit directly?
yes, Mr. Chair. The Philippine Marine Corps has their own personnel management center that recruits their requirements for personnel, Mr. Chair.
I asked that question because they expressed their concern. We need, or they need to recruit additional 944 persons. Nandito ba yung commandant ng Philippine Marines? Is he present?
He's on his way, Mr. Chair.
Okay, anyway, kung kaya nyo i-address tong yung tanong, sagutin nyo na rin,
Yes, sir. I can.
Short sila eh. And ang concern nila, may darating sila mga equipment, baka wala magman.
Yes, sir.
So how can you assist the Philippine Marines? Kasi yung Philippine Marines effectively under the Philippine Navy, hindi ba? Kaya I asked the question kung may direct recruitment sila or they derive their personnel from the Philippine Navy. Ano ba arrangement yan?
They are allocated 724, Mr. Chair, to recruit within this year. And these personnel, when they are recruited, will man their future capabilities like the AAV, the amphibious attack vehicle, and the 155 that was due to be delivered to them, Mr. Chair. So, based on our discussions, sir, they can recruit 724 within the year, Mr. Chair.
But they're asking for an additional budget of 321 million to recruit 944 additional personnel, 48 officers, and then 896 enlisted personnel.
This has not yet been discussed at the JHQ level, sir. So this is an unfunded requirement of the Philippine Marine Corps.
So, hindi na kasama sa NEP. Walang funding, walang appropriations
This is
to
unfunded.
cover the recruitment. Hindi
yes,
funded ito.
Yes, Mr. Chair. But the 724, they can initially use that to man their amphibious attack vehicle and the 155 that was purchased for their upgrade program, Mr. Chair.
Ito yung request nila, 321 million and then another 10.5 million for the MOE for training expenses.
Yes, sir. It's unfunded for calendar year 2019, sir, Mr. Chair.
So, Secretary Lorenzano, we may have to look for other sources
Look for other funds, sir.
kasi walang funding support for the 2019 NEP actually, di ba? Hindi ba take up sa House ito para ma-include sa kanilang GAB, their appropriations bill, to be submitted to the Senate?
Wala, sir. Hindi, sir. Hindi na take up.
Hindi. Anyway, sige, we'll see where we can get additional funding for the recruitment of the Philippine Marines. Ano? The Chair acknowledges the presence of Senator Trillanes. Good morning, sir. Anybody? Yeah, Senator Nasan is recognized. And also Senator J.B. Ejercito. Good morning, sir.
Secretary Lorenzana, no?
Yes, sir.
So that I will not be asking questions anymore later, can you, if you can, include in your submissions? That's why we have been following up the policy issues really, as it relates to your budgetary requirements, are dependent on certain initiatives that we have been pushing for, no? Quietly pushing for. One is possible amendments to Commonwealth Act number 1, the driving law for our security and defense policy and strategy. No? Second, yung table of organization and equipment. You may want to include a status report on these initiatives. Now, why do I mention that as a request from your committees, from your Senate, no? So that we can evaluate your budgetary requirements based on a plan for the defense of our country. No?
Yes, sir.
So related to this, I wanted to ask later, but I'm asking it now para you can include this in your submissions. No? One is, wala dito si Charlie, no? Galvez?
It's coming, sir.
Coming. Anyway, submission sa method. First, can you give your committee an idea of our teeth-to-tail ratio? We have been asking this periodically. For every one soldier, seaman or airman deployed in the field, ano ang support component? Okay. And give us an idea of the ideal ratio. Second, can you give your committee an idea of the percent, beyond what you have presented already, no? Of troop strength fill up? Let's say yung batalyon natin, is it 50%? 60%? Just give us a view, no? Third, can you look at it? Is your J3 here? J3?
Okay,
Wala.
sir. Yes, sir.
Coming, di ba,
He's born, sir. He will
Oo.
come.
Di ba ang operational readiness criteria natin is move, communicate, and shoot?
Yes, sir.
Now, can you please relate it now to our troop strength fill up as an expression of capability? Ano ang level natin in terms of, can a battalion move by itself? So move, can it communicate within its unit deployment and with other units? In the case of joint operations. Itong shoot, nag-uusap kami kanina ni Chairman Lacson, no? You mentioned that we are preparing for 2 basic loads. Del, maalala mo, nung panahon natin, actually 3 basic loads yan eh. 3. Dahil pag talagang matindi yung high intensity, no, yung engagement, kakapusin talaga yung 2 basic loads. So maybe you can program for that. And then lastly, if you look at the headlines, nakatutok na naman sa atin yung oil price hike. Can you give us an idea from your think tanks, no, in the security sector, if you have factored in the projected oil price increase and its impact on your budget? Future ito, no, so that we can relegate ourselves not to a reactive mode, but to a proactive mode. Is this possible, yung mga binanggit ko?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We will submit, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yung 2 basic loads, 1 long, 1 short yan, that's per capita, di ba? The entire 145,957 members of the AFP, each one of them, meron silang 2 basic loads.
Yes, sir. We are talking about basic load for the
Operating units?
basic weapons, sir, ng sundalo, the
Yes.
Long firearms.
Long firearms.
Yes, sir.
And each and every soldier has an issued firearm.
Yes, sir.
Long
Yes, sir.
firearm.
Long firearm.
Kompleto na yon,
Kompleto na, sir,
100% fill up yan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They issued their long firearms, the M16.
How about short firearms?
Not yet, sir. We are still procuring short firearms for everybody.
Anong shortage nyo dyan? How many percent?
I think we still have short of about 80,000, sir.
80,000.
Yes, sir.
Malaki yun ah.
Pag dumating, sir, yung order natin sa Glock na 74,000 something, plus 50,000 dito, sir, sa arms corps, it will be, sir, sufficient. Everybody will have their short firearm.
And the arsenal can cope with the requirement.
For the short firearm, sir, I doubt if they can.
No, I mean sa basic loads. Kaya ng
Kaya, sir,
government arsenal.
Kaya, sir.
Kaya. Thank you. CAPGO, you have more than 69,000 CAPGO personnel, di ba? How
Yes, sir,
are they
yes, sir.
deployed? Ilan dito yung regular, ilan dito yung special? At saka,
CAPGO, sir, ano lang to, sir,
deployment
these are
ninyo in
all,
terms of geographical areas?
These are all CAFGO, are all regular CAFGOs. Yung special, sir, hindi natin.
How many special CAPGOs do you have? How many companies?
Special. But the 68,000, sir, is just regular CAFGOs. And aside from that, we have close to 40,000 siguro yan.
Ang special CAPGOs.
Yes, sir.
Ano mga arrangements sa special CAPGOs? Nakalimutan ko na eh.
Sir, these are actually protection of for companies. They have they want to protect themselves. So
Who's funding them? AFP pa rin?
no, sir, we just provided them with firearms and ammunition plus cadre. Everything
Okay.
else is ordered by the companies.
So, firearms and cadre lang yung requirement
Yes,
from
sir.
the AFP.
Yes, sir.
But their subsistence allowance, and
allowance, uniforms comes from.
bahala yung
Yes, sir.
nag-request.
Yes, sir. Either
And
companies-
there are 40,000 of them. Anyway, these are
Yes, sir.
mga force multiplier ito eh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mostly deployed in Mindanao, both
sir?
regular and special.
All over the country, sir. But mostly, marami tayo sa Mindanao, sir. Sa mga mining companies.
Percentage-wise, ilan yung paano distribution? Paki-walk us through lang do sa ano, para may idea lang kami.
For the special CAFGOs, sir, aside from the companies that have these special CAFGOs, the local governments also are authorized to have if they need it, sir, we also authorize them to have their special CAFGOs to protect flagship projects of the President of the government all over the country. So, merong special CAFGO yung Combal, Davao Norte, and Zamboanga Norte and Zamboanga Sur. Meron silang mga special CAFGOs. But all others, Ano nga, kung magkano ilan yung ating kapgo? Pero ba tayong number dyan?
How helpful are they? Are they still relevant?
Yes,
Kasi
sir, very
hindi na
relevant, sir.
masyadong matindi yung anti-insurgency natin, di ba? Ang GAVCO is, ang main purpose yan really is to assist in the counter-insurgency operation,
Yes, sir.
di
They
ba?
are territorial forces that so that they can stay in they operate within their communities so that they will be the stay-behind force. Yun sir ang idea ng CAFGO. Also with the companies, nandun din sila sa mga compound ng companies nila para hindi na natin problema yung guarding ng mga companies like plantations and mining companies.
Yung 30 billion capital outlay, inclusive na dyan yung AFP Modernization Fund, di ba? Kasama na?
Yes, sir. I
Okay.
think the modernization fund is 25 billion, sir. So plus some more, so it's 30
Yes.
billion.
And that's on top of the 940 million na nakapark doon sa DPWH. Sa budget nila ito eh. Hindi pa kasama rito.
Hindi pa, sir.
For the repairs ng ano to eh, ng mga camps, di ba? The various camps.
That is the convergence program, sir. So it's not part of our,
Yeah, hindi kasama sa budget
hindi
ninyo.
kasama sa budget nito, sir.
Nasa budget ng DPWH.
Yes, sir. It's with the DPWH.
Recruitment, Philippine Army. Next year, you're projected to recruit 1,700.
That is the regular recruitment, sir.
Regular recruitment. Di ba merong inyan si Presidente na he wants 10,000 troops more? How are you complying with that instruction?
That is already complied, sir. Actually, some of the regular troops are already deployed. Some were ongoing training, sir. But definitely by this year, they will all be deployed in the different parts of the country, sir.
Senator Nasan?
With the permission of the Senator. Secretary Lorenzana.
Yes, sir.
I just want to go back to our operational readiness, no? So that we can get this over with. No? Itong standards natin for move, communicate, and shoot. Like, shoot muna tayo, no? 40 million rounds ang expected na output ng government arsenal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anong klaseng ammunition ito? Does it
Mostly
factor
M16, sir.
M16? So,
Yes, sir.
my point, Del, no, is do we factor in interoperability? You know, for a developing country like ours, para ma-input ninyo sa planning and programming natin, no? Importante na yung bala ng mga baril na hawak ng pulis at yung other units, pareho ng bala na dala ng battalions at yung army troops natin. That should allow us more flexibility in actual field operations. So, M16 and itong 40 million rounds?
5.56 and 7.62 because we still have 7.62, sir.
Okay. Yung sa M14.
Yes, sir. Yung 14.
What about yung tinanong kanina ni Chairman, yung small arms? What is the standard small arm of our units in the field? Those who are
M6.
allowed to what?
M16, sir. M16.
No, what I mean is
5.56.
sure. 45 ba o 9 millimeter or what caliber?
Yung, sir, yung,
Short, in short.
yung short, sir,
pistol.
45, sir. 45 caliber. And 9 millimeter, sir.
So this is standard.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's yung mga darating na Glock, 45 ba yun o 9 millimeter?
Mix, sir. Mix ng 9 millimeter saka 45. 9 millimeter.
Del, please bear with us, no? We just want to look at this from the micro perspective para we can measure your budget based on our declared operational capability. No? So, 45 ang standard.
I stand corrected, sir. The Glock, the 74,000 Glock is 9 millimeter, and the 50,000 from Armscore is 45 caliber.
Okay. Del, you have to understand, we're raising this issue not to find fault, no? But once and for all, we have to standardize everything dahil efficiency ang hinahabol natin dito eh.
Yes,
Okay?
sir.
Just please bear with us and understand the point that we're raising. No? When the chair said short and long, so 556 long at saka 762.
7.62, sir.
Pero sa short,
9
45.
millimeter and 45.
Okay, so my point is we should be moving in that direction. Now let's go to communicate. What is our basic means of communicating?
For the Army, sir, I think we have the Harris. The Harris, lahat sir, pati yung kanilang pang long distance saka yung pang internal
Oh.
are the handheld Harris. And they're procuring some more. Also, the Marines also have the Harris, which is also compatible with the Army. Pareho lang, pareho lang, sir.
Okay, for purposes of internal security operations, are we also interoperable with, let's say, police units?
No, sir. No.
Okay. You know why I raised that point? Kung minsan, nababasa natin sa news yung missing counter.
Exactly, sir.
No?
Yeah.
So, that should be something that we should look at and address because it's happening at ground level.
Yes, sir.
Just factor that in, no? Okay, move. Let's go to move.
Move.
Para matapos na.
Yes, sir. Yes.
What is the standard means of moving from one place to another, let's say, land, air, or sea?
For land, sir, still the, ano ba yun? Yung Kia? Still the 6x6s that we,
Yung M35?
now so mas marami na tayong Kia 450, which is similar to the 6x6. And the Kia 250 is the 6x6 type, and the Kia 450 is the 1 1/4 is yung weapons carrier type.
Okay.
Yun, sir. Yun ang basic ngayon, sir, sa Army.
Del, I hope you understand why we're raising these points, no? So when we say standardized in terms of movement, mobility, importante rin yan for servicing capability and spare parts.
Yes,
It
sir.
will
Yes,
make
sir.
us more efficient if the units are dependent on standardized mobility. Diba?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
whether it's Kia, Toyota, Mahindra, or something else, no? Dapat interoperable tayo in terms of operational readiness. And that is the standard by which we will measure your budgetary requirements. Okay, so
The move.
yung pwede nyong isama sa submissions ninyo, pakinalang para we can look at it before the plenary defense of the chairman.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
We'll do that, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Senator Trillanes is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Sir, I know this was asked earlier, but just to reiterate and for the record again, Secretary Lorenzana, sir, yung bang increase sa pension ng mga retirees, sir, naka-incorporate na dito sa 2019 budget? Effective
For next
January.
year, Senator, yes, kasama na po yung
Sa pension, sir. Effective
increase
January, sir.
ng retirees. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why our PS this year, for this coming year, is higher than last year.
Okay. And next, sir, is regarding yung wish list and shopping list ng AFP modernization. May copy na ba, sir, yung committee regarding the AFP modernization?
Yeah, I think we have submitted the copy for the Horizon 2. 283 billion ang shopping list namin.
Yung sa Horizon 1, sir, can we also get a copy of that?
Yes, Senator, we will submit.
Yes, sir.
We'll submit, yeah.
I-compare lang natin dun sa actual na procure so that makita natin, sir, kung yung nire-request, sir, ng mga operating units ay yun talaga, sir, yung nabibili.
Yes, Senator, we will do that.
Yes, sir. I raised that point dahil may mga nag-raise ng concerns that yung mga ibang na-procure, I'm not saying all, sir, ano, ibang na-procure ay hindi ito yung kagustuhan ng mga services. At nababypass yung kanilang mga wish list and shopping list, sir. Nangyayari ba ito, sir?
We will look at the Horizon 1, Senator, kasi we are not here during the Horizon 1. Maybe we will look at the wish list nila at saka yung nabili. But for Horizon 2, I think we are on track on this because we really ask the end unit to determine what they need. Like sa Air Force, kung anong gusto nilang helicopter, yun ang bibili natin.
With the permission of Senator Trillanes, may submission actually pero marked secret, so you need not delve into the details of the procurement. Just submit to the committee or to Senator Trillanes.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
Salamat, Mr. Chairman. So yun lang ang kina-clarify ko, sir. Ano? I understand dahil may mga pinaparating din na information sa amin, sir, ano? Na there is a wish list at ito yung mga gusto ng mga iba't ibang services, Army, Air Force, to include the Marines. Ano? And iba yung binibili and this equipment are coming directly from Malacanang and binabypass daw kayo, sir. Kaya nabibili itong mga ito against the wishes of the different branches of service, sir. So, yun lang yung ginaguarantee natin, sir.
Just to correct the misimpression, Senator, that did not happen during my time. Malacanang never dictated on us. And in fact, the President has always reminded us that let us buy what the end user wants. Yung ang palagi niya sinasabi sa amin. So that's what we are doing.
So, for example, sir, yung I cannot divulge information without giving hints kung saan nanggaling yung sir, yung information. But actually, at least 2 branches of service ay nagre-raise ng concern na meron sa pipeline na mga equipment na they did not request in the first place. So yun, sir, yung kanilang and they in fact gave a specific name ng sa DND who is the point man of Malacanang. So yun, sir, yung nangyayari na kayo sinasubmit nyo pero merong bumabalik from Malacanang going around you and it is being forced upon the different services to just accept yung mga binili na yun, sir.
I am not aware of that, Senator. I am not. We have heard about that.
Maybe we
Allegations
can
na yan.
address that question to the major services commanders. Can you respond to Senator Trillanes?
Sir, for the Air Force, we have no known projects that have been imposed upon us. It is always a product of a process vetted with senior leadership. So we're getting what we need and what we want, sir.
Sir, for the Army, we have a stringent process within the headquarters of the Philippine Army. And once it goes up to the DND, again, there's also a procedure, and apparently the proceeding is very transparent. And whatever are our request or wish, it was decided upon by the August body within the senior leaders roundtable discussion.
Sir, for the Navy, it is the technical working group that is created by the Navy that will determine the requirements of the Navy, and this is submitted to the senior leaders of the armed forces and then also to the senior leaders of the Department of National Defense. So there are no influence that is coming from higher ups, Mr. Chair.
Uh, Sir, you were saying that you heard such information, sir. Can you elaborate more, sir?
Narinig ko yung information na yan lately when din sa mga, I think it also came from you that the allegations that there is one guy who is cornering the or directing the procurement of these certain items. So nagtanong-tanong din ako kung totoo ba yun, and it's not true. Nobody is manipulating the procurement in that DND because the procurement there is a collegial decision by me and the service commanders and senior leaders. Kaya mayroon kami tinatawag na senior leaders this defense acquisition system, and we meet twice a month to decide what will be procured. I-present nila yung mga pangkuan sa harapan, and then lahat ng characteristics ng mga products, and then the committee or the collegial body will decide what to buy. It's not dictated by anybody.
Well, sa akin, sir, this is my job. This information came from your officers. And if that's not true, then it should be addressed. Dahil, yun nga, sir, one of the reasons na nagreklamo kami at some point is because of such things. Ngayon, yun lang. At least nga, bine-ventilate natin ito, sir.
Yes.
Hindi natin ito, sir, binabagsak. I'm not saying, in fact, maliwanag, sir, yung information. The fault does not lie on the AFP leadership to include the SND. Ang sinasabi, sir, is binababa ito, ini-impose, one of your undersecretaries in particular, ang point person, then if in-force sa service commanders. Ngayon, that's the information, sir. Anyway, I hope you'll be able to address it, sir.
But in addition to, Mr. Chairman, can I clarify some more? This that cannot happen because sabi ko nga, we have twice a month senior leaders meeting to decide the modernization procurement, and we have minutes of that. We can show you the minutes how it is done. We discussed that. There was very passionate discussions sometimes to buy something, and we come to a decision. Nobody goes to the services to force the procurement of a certain item that they do not want. That did not happen, Senator. I'll tell you.
Well, thank you, sir. Anyway, let me move now to this so-called Red October plot in relation to basically this is an internal security threat. Can you please enlighten us, sir, with what you actually have at para malaman din natin, sir.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask the Chief of Staff to reply?
Sir, the Red October plot is a combined armed struggle and legal struggle that will be conducted by the CPP and PA using the broad coalitions with all the oppositions, and also using the infiltration of the different youth sector and labor sector. In fact, they have already organized 10 of the universities in Manila, and right now they are making a lot of information drive, wherein they will show to the whole high school and even college students the different atrocities committed during the Marcos regime, and equate that to the to the present administration. And they have the Operation Talsik and Operation Aklasan, wherein they have a template like the Nutri-Asia, wherein they will simultaneously conduct labor protests. At the same time, they will conduct tactical offensives in the Parplang areas, countryside, sir. And we unearthed this Oplang Naklasan with the publication of the Constitution of the CPP-NPA dated 2016. It is a very elaborate plan, sir, wherein they started the heightening of the agitation using the first quarter storm model. Actually, sir, si Joma Season has conducted a lot of BPC conference with the UP. Meron po kaming document. And then meron po kami talagang ano po. I cannot reveal yun, but I can reveal it to the executive session so that we can see the vast efforts of the CPP-NPA in order to oust Duterte. And they will use some cutouts and some leakages, including sa opposition. That's why the Red October plot, we started to ventilate on this, considering that their plan is really to have a successive mass mobilization starting on September 21, then October, then November, until such time that they will have also their 50th anniversary this coming December. So our intention then is to really to disrupt their recruitment, massive recruitment, especially our students, and even they will orchestrate the Lakbayan and Lakbayan Europe. So nag-start na po sila, sir, kasama po yun, sir, yung tatry ng tinatawag natin International People's Tribunal, wherein they get a verdict of guilty to the president. So ito, sir, namin sa talaga ito na talagang it is a combination of all the different major services intelligence. Talaga pong nakita po namin that we can have the document shown during the executive session na talagang it is a broad coalition plan. Yes. Wherein they will use yung mga issues, existing issues, including inflation and prices, and also they are painting the government that they will have tinatawag po natin na dictatorship and tyranny. So yun po ang nakita po namin sa Red October plot. This is a series of mobilization wherein they will heighten up yung agitation to our student sector and labor sector and the IPs.
Maraming salamat for that response, sir. Yung sa amin, so in short, sir, communist-driven itong Red October na to, which is supposed to be not new kasi since 1960s, talagang gusto nilang i-ouster yung government. Di ba, sir?
Ito, sir, mas, Your Honor, this is more, sir, pervasive, sir. Kung sa plano, sir, nila, kung titingnan natin that this is a very, we will look at it as a normal plot. Ito, sir, medyo talagang, they planned extensively on this.
Okay.
And they will make sure that this plan, including international solidarity work and all the available broad coalitions, they will do their best to really to ouster the president. Even yun nga, may mga statements sa si Joma on the 2019, mid-2019. So ito, sir, kung bibigyan natin lang ng very lightly we might it might be like Marawi na parang nakita natin na the informations that have been given to us before hindi po napagbigyan ng mga ibang commander na ganun pala kagrabe na po sir yung nangyari. So, the intention of the military is really to preempt yung massive recruitment, especially yung medyo delikado po sir dito, yung pong yung economic sabotage that will be undertaken yung sa aklasan po sir.
Well, I agree, sir, but in fact, since day one, sir, when Duterte formed a coalition government with the communists, we have been raising the alarm bells kasi alam namin na gagamitin nila yung government resources para palawigin at palakasin yung kanilang hanay. At true enough, pinakawalan ni Duterte yung mga senior commanders ng NPA. Nag-raise din kami ng alarm bells doon. Tapos, nung nagre-recruit sila para palakasin yung hanay, kami yung nag-sound ng alarm. At yung information ay coming from the AFP itself, pati yung pag-occupy nilang ng mga housing units through the Kadamay. Yung information coming from the intelligence units of the AFP, sir, sinasabi sa amin para erase namin yon at yun na nga, then ito na nga tayo ngayon, sir. Ngayon, whose fault is this? Sino nagpalaki nito? Wala nang iba, sir, kung hindi si Duterte. Ngayon, ito lang ang liliwanagin namin naman, sir, After doing everything, sounding the alarm, precisely because of this, ang ini-implicate pa ay yung mga members ng opposition. Ngayon, sir, categorically, sir, involved ba kami ni Senator Kiko dito, sir, sa Red October na ito? Para lang, sir, malaman natin lahat.
Sir, ang ano po sir, sir, is basically it is a sinister part of the CPP-NPA. Kung makikita po natin talaga, they would like to talaga to have your coalition with the opposition, sir. That's why our intention is really to protect yung ating pong legitimate opposition.
Yes, sir. So, but based, sir, dun sa intel report nyo, sir, while the CPP would like to forge a coalition, nakipag-coalition ba kami, sir?
No, sir.
Yeah, yes, sir. Well, I'm glad, sir, at least maliwanag yon kasi talagang hindi, sir, namin gagawin yon. In fact, we're trying to exert our influence also within the legitimate opposition, sir, to steer clear of these communists kasi talagang iba, sir, yung plano nila sa ating bayan. And for as long as sabi ko that they are killing our soldiers, talagang magiging tubig at langis ito, sir. Hindi talaga pwedeng paghaluin, sir. Ngayon, sir, since naliwanag niyan, sir, nung Saturday night, sir, meron kaming mga na-accost na mga members ng MiG-24 who were conducting surveillance operations, sir, doon sa perimeter, sir, ng aking bahay. Gusto ko, sir, malaman ano ba, sir, ang objective, sir, noon?
Sir, I'm not informed of this, sir. We will investigate on this, sir.
Yes, sir. So, just to give you a background, sir, so, binubuntutan ako, sir, pati yung bahay namin, kinikasing, at ito na nga, nung in-alert yung security, so na-corner, sir, yung MiG-24 vehicle, nag-identify yung mga tropa doon. Sa akin naman, naintindihan ko yung mga security measures na ginagawa, sir, but if the AFP leadership is categorical na hindi naman kami kasama dun, sir, then para saan yung kunin, sir, we have been very transparent kung nasaan, wala kami sa recruitment na ginagawa, at alam niyo yan, sir. For that matter, sir, meron ba sa recruitment yung magdalo, sir, sa hanay ng mga AFP, sir. Meron ba kami sa recruitment na ginagawa?
Sir, yung most probably, sir, yung sir namin, sir, kasi we are also aware na there is also some threat sa life nyo, sir. Maybe yung
Sir, hindi ko narinig, sir.
yung namin po, sir, if there are some, sir, some, ang instruction din po namin, sir, is to make sure na wala pong mangyayari po sa inyo, sir. Dahil kasi if ever na, sir, na there's something na may mangyayari po sa inyo, sir, sa amin po i-blame, sir. So that's the main purpose. Tulungan na po natin, sir. Yung sa recruitment, sir, may mga, sir, may mga po, sir, talaga, sir, na lumalabas na recruitment from other, sir. Desktop groups, sir. Desktop groups.
Pero sir, magdalo ba yun, sir? Dahil ako, sir, I'll tell you right now, sir, all right, wala kami sa recruitment.
Sir, can we have an executive session on this, sir?
So, hindi nyo, sir, masasagot categorically from sa hanay, sir, namin. Ako, sir, sinasabi ko na, sir, sa inyo, I'm telling you now, all right, sir, wala kaming recruitment, walang nagre-recruit, sir, from anybody, sir. Ngayon, of course, I don't expect you to take my word for it, but mababalidate yan, sir, ng mga intel operatives nyo, sir.
Sir, can we have a personal sa inyo mamaya po?
Sige, sir. Sige, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well, anyway, sir, bilang, let me just assure you na kung may recruitment dyan, it's not coming from Di Magdalo, sir. Dahil we took up this route, sir, this parliamentary route para ma-address, sir, yung grievances. Kami yung nagiging bosses, sir, ng mga sundalo. We have been consistent about that, sir. And ganun, sir, hindi kami kakalas doon, even at the worst of times. So, anyway, sir, regarding naman, sir, dun sa amnesty application ko, sir. Gusto ko lang, sir, malaman, kasi, sir, alam nyo naman na yung totoo, eh. Nag-apply ba ako, sir, ng amnesty as far as your investigation is concerned, sir? Ay, si SND, sir.
Senator, I am not knowledgeable about your application for amnesty because it happened before our time here. Hindi naman namin alam ang procedure na yon. But last August 16, tumawag sa akin si Soljen Calida, and he was asking me if I can help produce the amnesty record. He was not asking for your application. He was just asking for the amnesty records of Trillanes et al. So sabi ko, I will refer your staff to my staff to talk, pag-usapan nila. Ang na-produce nila doon is initially, wala silang makita. But when they dug up the records at DND, they were able to produce the Proclamation 75 of President Aquino, plus the document, the amnesty document that was signed by Secretary Gasmin. Yun lang ang galing sa amin. Those are the only two documents that were given to him, which I think are public documents in a way. Later on, he wrote GHQ to ask for some other records like yung application mo, which GHQ, the J1, one staff of J1 GHQ certified that your application for amnesty cannot be found or non-existent at GHQ. Those are, I think, the three documents that that Sergeant Calida got from DND and GHQ.
So, I'm sure, sir, with all of these things happening, nag-conduct na kayo, sir, na internal investigation nyo to ascertain kung ano ba talaga, kung nag-apply nga ba itong si Trillanes o hindi? So, I'm sure, sir, nagkanda kayo, sir, ng...
Yeah, we did.
Yes, sir.
We did, Senator. In fact, we dug up, wala naman makita. So, we reached out to the members of the ad hoc committee on amnesty.
Yes, sir.
And wala pa silang sagot eh. They are not forthcoming yung sagot nila. Anyway, we have invited them also. Kung may invite namin sila doon sa sa DND to shed light into this document na nawawala. Oh.
Sir,
Excuse me, with due respect to Senator Trillanes, we'll allow you a few more minutes,
Yes,
ano,
sir.
but this is a budget deliberation. I think there's another venue for those concerns, but we will allow you to ask your questions. No, we'll be more lenient, but we're veering away from the issue at hand, and we want to go back to the budget deliberation. Anyway, you can proceed. Record.
salamat, sir. Sir, General Galvez, sir.
Sir, we also conducted an SEDERSI during the time, sir. We are not aware of this, but apparently, sir, the J1 and also the other technical working group administered all the sir, through the GHQ committee, sir. So si Lieutenant Colonel Jose Barbidal is the one who administered your oath. Apparently, sir, ang sir namin, sir, is there is some some lapses na hindi po naibaba yung mga documents po sa J1, which is basically the repository of all the documents. Kasama po yung sir yung OTAG. So ang sir namin po, sir, is all the papers was not brought down sa po, sir, sa pabalik sa GHQ, sir. Parang po sa promotion po, sir, pagka sir, tayo ng recommendation sa taas, hindi na po bumaba sa pababa. So yun po, sir, ang nakita po
yes.
namin sa investigation po namin na kaya po si Colonel Tea Andrade, wala pong nakita, sir, ng mga papel doon po sa sir.
Yes, sir.
Kaya nag-certify po, sir, na wala pong papel na po, sir. Apparently, ang po namin, sir, ang suspicion po namin, sir, is ang repository, sir, ng mga dokumento po nito, sir, hindi po na ibaba po sa amin sa GHQ.
Okay, sir. But based on your inquiry, sir, nag-apply ba ako, sir, ng amnesty? Enough na bigyan ako, sir, ng amnesty certificate nung past administration, sir?
Based po, sir, sa ni Colonel Jose Barbidal, that it was administered at the GHQ, sir. As
So,
member of the, sir,
the ATO committee, sir.
Secretary committee po, sir.
So, nag-apply ako, sir, according to her.
According to him.
Yes, sir. I'm satisfied with that, Mr. Chairman. Salamat, sir.
Senator Pangilinan is recognized.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to go back to the issue of Red October in the context of intelligence funds being spent by the armed forces and the defense establishment. Just to clarify also, I understand precisely these are intelligence reports prepared by the intelligence arm of the armed forces using, funds that are allocated by precisely Congress. We'd like to thank the Chief of Staff for clarifying that the Liberal Party, the information that you have shared to this committee is that this ouster plot is a plot being engineered by the Communist Party of the Philippines, and that, to quote you, and that they would like to have a coalition with other forces. That is different from that they are in coalition with other forces to oust the president. Hindi po ba? These are two different things.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. And so, there is no coalition between the Liberal Party and the Communist Party to oust Duterte.
Sir, none, sir, but the Communist.
Yes, yes. But there is a desire on the part of the Communist Party.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. Using
Yes.
mga cutouts po, sir.
Because I will categorically state that there is no desire on the part of the Liberal Party to oust President Duterte. We will not support any unconstitutional approach or unconstitutional move. In fact, we will, if you have information of any member of the party involved, you tell us, we will expel this party member because that is in violation of our Constitution. We swore an oath to uphold and defend this Constitution, and any unconstitutional act, we will not be party to, and we will oppose. For the record, my concern, therefore, and again, this has to do with the intelligence budget, and we would like to thank General Galvez for that clarification that there is no coalition between the LP. Today, there is no LP, Magdalo, Communist Party coalition to oust the president. My concern is that the reports that are being, or information that is being given to the media is that meron ng ganong klaseng sabwatan. So my concern is the AFP and the DND, or elements of the armed forces and the DND, being used for partisan political activity? Would you like to clarify that?
Definitely no.
Thank you, because that is precisely also contrary to the Constitution. The armed forces of the Philippines should not be involved in partisan political activities. It should not be politicized. It should be a professional armed forces. Hindi po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. Maraming salamat for that clarification. Meron ding mga nababanggit na report na umaabot po sa atin na ginagamit daw itong ouster plot na ito ng ilang mga puwersa, whether outside of the armed forces or some within the armed forces who are not authorized to do so. Dahil pagka naipalabas itong hindi totoong sabwatan, ang kasunod ay magkakaroon na ng revolutionary government. In other words, there is a threat to the government, there is a threat to the president by these so-called conspirators, and therefore, to protect the state, we will have a revolutionary government. This information is being shared. Do you have that type of information? And if so, may we get your comment about a revolutionary government being established?
Sir, yung nakikita po namin, sir, is the president is being dragged to really to declare martial law nationwide, and also most probably yung revolutionary government. So yun po sir ang ano sir ng CPP, so that that will be some sort of political death trap for the president. So they will create some sort of national broad coalition involving all the the oppositions and also all the parties, including sir yung mga previous destabilizers. May mga na-identify na po kami sir na talagang ano po sir. And with that, yun sir ang parang ginagawa po sir nila, like what we did in the different templates, like Plaza Miranda. They will create some sort of parang sakit na pawa po sir, and then they will force the president to really declare yung yung martial law nationwide. It is also happened during the time of the Gloria Arroyo uprisings, wherein they want to drag the former president to declare martial law, but the declaration of the former president then was the state of lawlessness with the calibrated response. So that's the sinister plot of the CPP-NPA.
But of course, you agree with us, or at least this representation, that a revolutionary government does not conform with our 1987 Constitution.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Salamat. Dito na lang po sa West Philippine Sea, ang issue po natin dito at ang ating security, the policy. how are we securing our waters? How are our fishermen able to fish in these areas? Do we have adequate military and security measures in place to be able to ensure that our fishermen are protected and that they are not being harassed?
Yes, Your Honor. We have 9 islands in this plot list that we occupy, and they have all detachment of Marines, not primary Marines yan. So our fishermen can go there, can go to Pag-asa, in the vicinity of Pag-asa, and all those islands to fish. In Pag-asa, we have a sizable population there, about 200 civilians plus about 30 soldiers. And at this moment, we're also repairing the beaching ramp of the island, in preparation for our repair of the runway of Pag-asa starting January next year. Now, in the other side, here in Bajo de Masinloc or the Scarborough Shoal, the shoal is still being controlled by the Chinese, because they have Chinese Coast Guard always stationed inside the lagoon. But our fishermen can already fish, Your Honor, in that area since late 2016, after the President came from Beijing. Now, we can also resupply our troops in the Spratly Islands without any interference from the Chinese. The modus vivendi that our Secretary of Foreign Affairs has crafted with his counterpart, the Chinese counterpart, is that all claimants, meaning the Philippines, China, Vietnam, and Malaysia, who are there, will not occupy new features. Ibig sabihin, kung nasaan sila noong 2016 na pumasok si Presidente, doon na lang sila. They can improve, we can improve, but nobody will improve any more features. That's why they cannot also construct or reclaim Scarborough Shoal because of that agreement. And in addition to that, I think the Secretary of Foreign Affairs is also talking to them on possible joint development of the gas and oil in the West Philippine Sea. That's what I know about this, Your Honor.
Maraming salamat. Although that gas and oil exploration will have to be scrutinized
Yes, sir.
in terms of its consistency with our constitutional, requirements.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll just wrap up, Mr. Chairman, and I'd like to thank the Chairman for this opportunity. Gusto ko lang i-reiterate, we have the highest respect for our armed forces, being a professional organization. In fact, General Galvez is my Mista. I'm an honorary member of Batch 85 of the PMA, together with Lieutenant General Bautista. I heard you will be appointed NFA administrator when you retire. Feel free to come see us. We are willing to brief you on our stint as NFA Council Chairman and how we can help you be more effective. We'd like this government to succeed, actually. We'd like the armed forces to succeed. We would like to have a strong Department of National Defense defending our territory together with the armed forces. And if this is the objective, you can be rest assured that we will give you our support. Maraming salamat, Mr. Chairman, for this opportunity.
Thank you. The Chair acknowledges the presence of Senator Dick Gordon. Morning, sir. Senator Sherwin Gatchalian is recognized. Then after Senator Gatchalian, Senator JV.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I have some non-contentious questions, basic questions lang po. 2 weeks ago was the culmination of the Reservist Week, and I was browsing through the budget. Secretary, magkano po ang budget na naka-allocate po sa mga reservists ho natin? Hindi ko makita ho dito. I think it's stuck in somewhere in the AFP budget, but I know it's not so much. No, I think it was 10 to 11 million last year, 2017, but I'm not very sure kung magkano po in 2019?
Uh, Mr. Chairman, the allocation for reservist training at DND level, GHQ level is 70 million. Nasaan na? 16 million na? Ito na? Correction, Mr. Chairman. For next year, we only have 14.1 million for reservists. For a total, it is for to support reservist strength of 741,937. This is for 2020, yung for next year, for 2019.
Secretary, I think 721 ito na yung total, but yung ready reserve I think is less than 100,000. If I believe mga 90,000 yata po yung ready reserve, if I'm not mistaken. Looking at the past data ng 2000
Service. Ano? Ano ang budget for cost na to? 4 million lang tayo? 4 million lang? Hindi, 2019 to? 2019? 4 million lang tayo?
Ang hinihingi niya, sir, yung
Budget for ano? Budget for reservice. For the reservice for the ano?
GHQ, no? Kasi ito, sir.
For the whole ano? For the whole ano?
For the standby space overall is this one.
Yeah.
Register, affiliated, standby.
Yes, ang tanong niya?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So,
Currently, Your Honor, currently we have a ready reserve of 93,062. We have an affiliated reserve totaling 20,451. And standby reserve of 628,424. Total 741,937. 741,937. That is the total AFP reserve force, Your Honor.
Thank you, Secretary. Secretary, I just want to ask kung ano po yung direction dito po sa mga reservists natin because I believe that the reservists is really a good force to maintain and to develop, especially in the advent of climate change, no? Dahil nga like 2 weeks ago ho, itong bagyong Ompong na halos kasing lakas po ng Yolanda, and going by the experience of Yolanda, kailangan ho natin na mas marami pang tao on the ground, no? But what is the vision po? Because I understand that of course itong 93,000 already reserved, naghahati-hati na lang ho sila dito sa 14 million na training budget. Wala pa ho nga ho dito yung compensation when they take a leave and train, and in the law they need to be compensated, but we're just compensating the training expense. But on a overall scale of things and long term, Secretary, ano ho ang vision ho natin dito po sa reserve? Is it something essential, something that is hindi ho naman kailangan? What is the ultimate vision for the reserve force?
Your Honor, tama po kayo. The reservice is very important component of our national defense. Our vision is to have 4 reservists for every 1 regular. Yun po ang but our overall our long-term vision is to have reservist unit per province, on 1 battalion per province, na pwede silang gamitin in times of emergency, disasters, everything. Like for instance, in Benguet now, the DNR is in need of 1 battalion of soldiers to assist the DNR in closing the small scale miners because they are in danger of being covered by landslides. Now, we still don't know where to get this battalion because we had to move 1 battalion to over there. Now, if Benguet has 1 reserve battalion, we can activate them immediately and they can go there and assist. That should be the long-term plan of the long-term vision that we are trying to achieve. That's why we are training more citizens in the schools like the ROTC to achieve this vision. Starting this year, there are 100 government schools all over the country that are going to conduct ROTC training, mandatory for K-11 and K-12, starting this year po. And we are waiting for the passage of our mandatory ROTC law so that we can implement them nationwide. And we are looking at if we can capture and train the K-11, K-12, then we have a sizable number of reservists in the future, Your Honor.
Secretary, what is the biggest problem why we cannot reach that 1 battalion per province in terms of reservists? Ano po yung nagiging problema ho natin?
It's, Your Honor, it's funding and to mobilize these people.
Funding po.
Funding. Kulang po yung pera. Because we need funding to buy their equipment, uniforms, and when we call them to active duty to mobilize them as a battalion, then we need funds for their subsistence. Ang tawag namin po doon, mobilization cost.
Thank you, Secretary. Secretary, pakisubmit na lang po sa committee and what you think should be an appropriate or at least minimum budget to develop our reservists. No? I want to personally thank you po. My application for reservice got approved. Hindi pa ako nagdodoning, but it was approved by this good secretary and also the president. And I would like to help support the reservist group, strengthen them, grow them, and make it a relevant organization to support the military, of course. But we need to understand also yung mga obstacles at yung nagiging problema, and one of which really is the budget. No? And I would like to request from the good secretary to submit to us a long-term vision as well as the budget requirement to achieve that vision, no? Starting in 2019. And hopefully, with the help of our chairman, we can allocate a sizable and respectable budget for 2019. Yung 14 million ho talaga, just to train, kulang na ho. And I understand a lot of the reservists spend their own money to get trained, no, just to reach the training facilities. So, pakisubmit na lang po kung ano po yung kailangan na budget for 2019 and subukan ho natin na makatulong po maglagay.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Secretary. Chairman.
Senator Ejercito is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have only 2 points this morning. One is the interoperability issue, and likewise the procurement process, the reforms that are being undertaken. Anyway, anybody can answer, probably Secretary Lorenzano or our Chief of Staff, because we are all aware of the President's pronouncements about acquiring Russian or even Chinese equipment, aircraft and equipment. Ang concern ko lang po dito, which I have also heard in previous hearings, is the interoperability issue. No? What would be the implications if ever, matuloy po talagang bumili po ang armed forces through the DND ng Russian helicopters or aircraft or other equipments, if you would, ano po ang paano hindi kaya maging problema ito with regards to interoperability, considering that we have been buying equipment and other supplies from American or even European suppliers. Siguro si Secretary Lorenzana, probably, or our Chief of Staff can answer.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Your Honor. Yes, some of our technical working groups have gone to Russia to look at their equipment, their helicopters, both the combat utility or the lift helicopters and the attack helicopter. They have also gone to Turkey to look at the same equipment. The problem maybe that we will encounter is yung manual pa lang siguro, baka kung hindi nila may translate ng English, mahirapan na tayo. And also training, when we send our people to train with this new equipment, is also language problem because they do not speak English that much in these countries. Same is true with China. For India, maybe it's better because they are English speaking. But for the equipment, I think in flying the equipment, I think practically these helicopters are similar naman ang operations niyan eh. In fact, the Americans are using the Mi-17 of the Russians there in Afghanistan because according to them, it is very rugged. It's good for rugged terrain. Marami silang binili dyan sa sikanhan sa Russia that they're using it there. But for interoperability, we still rely on the end users like the Air Force. Bigyan namin sa kanila, gumawa kayo, sabi ang utos sa kanila ng senior leaders is to organize a technical working group to find out what they need and they go around. And kung ano yung pipiliin nila na gustong-gusto nila, they're going to rate all this equipment according to their to the criteria that developed by them, and yun ang bibili natin. And interoperability wise, I think yung avionics naman yan madali naman yung i-configure to be able to operate with our existing avionics. The same is true with the ship. Kung sino ang gagawa ng mga barko natin, we can also let them configure the ship according to our needs in this in our environment, Your Honor.
Thank you, Secretary Lorenzana. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ang concern ko lang, kayo na rin lang nagsabi, Secretary Lorenzana, na ang problema dyan yung language barrier. No? Ang problema dyan, especially with the Armed Force, PAF, for Philippine Air Force, meron tayong ma-maintenance dyan. We are now currently maintaining for ang usual natin, mga Bell, Sokol, ano pa ba, may Agusta tayo ngayon. Tapos kung magdadagdag pa kayo ng Russian or Korean, parang na tayo United Nations na ang suppliers natin. Hindi ho kaya magkulang na tayo ng mga mekaniko, no? Our aircraft mechanics, for in particular, siguro mas maganda kung hindi naman sa nag-bias po ko, but I'm just concerned na siyempre iba po yung hawak ng Agusta, iba ho hawak ng Bell, iba rin ho ang hawak ng Sokol. Ewan ko kung may lumilipad pang Sokol nga ngayon. Pero siguro, probably our Air Force commander can probably can shed light on this. Ang worry ko lang ho dito, if you will add other brands from other countries, baka talagang maging problema na yung interoperability natin. As of the present, 3 na yung minimaintain yung helicopter, no, na iba't ibang suppliers. So magdadagdag pa tayo, hindi ho ba magiging problema yan?
Mr. Senator, Your Honors. Sir, there are two philosophies being practiced. There's the Western philosophy of doing things and the Eastern philosophy. And regardless of country, so as long as they are affiliated with the West, practically they have the same standard. So regardless of the source, the same maintenance practices, the same standards are used. Now, it's going to be different with the Russian system, the way we saw it. That's why when we went to Russia, we always emphasize talking to the operators talking to the maintenance personnel, talking to those who are involved in after-sales service. And from there, we can discern and give the proper recommendation to senior leadership, which is best. But nonetheless, regarding the platforms that we have, it is the best platform that money can afford and can buy, which were given to us. And most of them are still from the West. Regardless if it's an Agusta, it is a Bell helicopter, a Sokol, we have a common frame of reference that we can sustain and maintain them because of the standards used by the West, sir.
Thank you, dear Quintanaro. Because my problem is in maintenance, of course, you have a set of standards, no. Pero magkakaiba ho talaga yan, no. Their specialty, I'm sure you know what I mean. That there are certain specializations with regards to the different aircraft and the different manufacturers, no. Mr. Chairman, I'm just concerned because right now that we are in a position to buy equipment, no, sana ang bilhin na natin yung tamang equipment, no. Sayang ngayon may pagkakataon that we are able to buy again modern jet aircraft since 2006 pa yata yung last supersonic jet that flew, yung F5 natin, and ngayon nakabili na ho tayo, and then we are already acquiring frigates. So let us buy already the correct equipment. Ang nangihinayang lang ako because I share the view of Senator Trillanes that I received information also that what is being recommended by the different units are not being followed. And later I will go on to the procurement process. And siguro I hope you understand, Secretary Lansana, General Galvez, General Quintanar, and the rest of the other units that we do not want a repeat of by acquiring so-called choppers or UH-1D refurbished that we know for a fact that I don't think the Air Force, to be honest, hindi kayo magre-recommend nun dahil walang bansang gumagamit nun. Ang gumagamit lang nun, Poland, tsaka tayo. No? Tama? General Quintanar?
Yes, sir. True to tell, sir, we have difficulties maintaining the Sokol helicopters.
Yes, I from what I know, wala na ho ako nakikitang lumilipad ngayon. That were both brand new. And from what we know, dapat ho ang bumibili, ang kinukuha natin is yung proven that is being used by most of the Air Force or the other units all over the world. Kaya lang, in this particular case, yung Sokol, I think it's just Poland and us, Pilipinas, ang gumagamit. So, I hope that this does not happen again. Alam natin. When was the procurement? Was it 2010? Yung Sokol helicopters? Can you check po? Para sa
Yes, Your Honor, it was 2010. We got 8 of them. 6 are still flying today. And we do encounter maintenance problems simply because of the difficulty of acquiring the necessary spares on time. Some of those spares, we have lead times of more than a year. And this magnifies our maintenance problems.
So, what is the status now, General Quintana? So, out of the 8, 8 yun, di ba, na bago? Ilan
6
na lang
are
po
still
lumilipad?
flying, sir.
So, yung dalawa, wala na.
They were involved in accidents,
Accident.
unfortunately.
So, ang nangyayari, Mr. Chairman, kahit walang kalaban, bumabagsak itong mga to, bago pa naman. And that's unacceptable kasi bago di ba? I mean, may nakaitin din tayo. For brand new aircraft, I don't think it should, unless talagang pilot's error, pero 2 out of the 8. So, 6 na lang ho ang lumilipad.
Yes, Your Honor. Unfortunately, 2 of those crashes were attributed directly to pilot error or human factor, sir. It is not because of material
But that's the easiest, kasi, na it's pilot's error. But I still, I would say, siguro, General Quintanar, just be honest, talagang yung so-called helicopters were not really a good acquisition. And that's what we want to prevent. That's why here in the Senate, Mr. Chairman, I hope you know that we want to make sure that we are buying the correct and the right equipment because the lives of our men in uniform are at stake every time they use all of this equipment.
Sir, being an airman, we could say the Sokol is a good helicopter, sir. We just have difficulties maintaining it, sir.
But from what I know, yung Sokols, binibigay nyo sa assault, ayaw nila kasi pag mag-mount kayo ng machine gun, hindi na makalabas yung tao. Binibigay nyo roon sa rescue, ayaw din kasi hindi naman kasya yung stretcher pag So, anong nangyari? Naging VIP transport siya. So, how can you say that ito's a good helicopter? Dapat multi-role, pero ayaw siya ng assault, ayaw siya ng rescue. So, it was really a bad equipment, a bad procurement. So, that's what we want to prevent from happening. Na may pera tayo ngayon, Mr. Chairman, now that modernization, we have the chance to buy equipment, bilhin na natin yung tama this time. Okay? I hope that we are in the same page. I hope you understand that we want to make sure that we are buying the correct equipment for our men in uniform.
Yes, Your Honor. We'll make sure that all the equipment that we're going to procure into the future will be the best for the Air Force, of course, based on the resource constraints that we have, sir.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, siguro for DND Secretary, probably, or General Galvez can answer what are the reforms being instituted by your agency with regards to procurement process, because in the past, no, hindi ko sinasabing ho sa inyo, but this has been a problem with the procurement process of the Department of National Defense and the Armed Forces, that yun nga po, yung sinabi ni Senator Trillanes kanina, halimbawa mag-recommend si Navy, mag-recommend si Air Force Technical Working Group o kaya si Army, sa huli po, mababago, maiiba. Ako talaga, I honestly believe that itong so-called, hindi yan nire-recommend nung naging technical working group. So what are the reforms that are being instituted by in the procurement to make sure that what are being recommended by the technical working group of the different units, the Philippine Air Force, the Army, Marines, and the Navy, ay dapat yun po ang masusunod.
Mr. Chairman, can I add something more to the senator's comment?
Yes, please.
Mr. Chairman, the way we do the procurement now is after the technical working group has done its job, we invite them to the senior leaders meeting and let them present. I-present nila yung kanilang findings. And then we let them choose kung anong the best na ano doon. So it will be the technical working group, TWG, of the services that will determine kung ano yung kailangan ng services. Kasi sila naman ano nun eh. They were the ones who formed that, kung Air Force, kung aircraft, Air Force TWG, kung ship, yung naval na TWG, support. So, it will not be revised. Pagka yung kung ano yung decision ng senior leaders in that meeting, yun na yung bibili natin. It will not be, hindi na mababago yan. So, kung magkabulyasuan later on, you will go back to the technical working group. Sila yung namili nun eh. So, kung ayaw nila, din kasalanan nila yun. Hindi namin kasalanan because they were the one who assess itong mga equipment bago namin dinesisyonan.
Thank you, Secretary Rizal. I do hope that you would really maintain and commit that whatever is recommended by the technical working groups that made the studies and made the research and investigation on the equipment acquisition, dapat talagang masunod, no? Narinig ko rin, minsan nagkikwento tayo, no? Regarding, siguro magtatanong rin ng bahagya, Mr. Chairman, I'll just take the opportunity. Regarding the President's pronouncement also last year, no? Yung Bell 412 kasi, na kinancel actually ng Japan, no? Dahil, ng Canada, no? Canada. So, ano po, meron na ba tayong ibang suppliers? Because the Bell 412 is the one that should be replacing the UH-1s, di ba? Yan ang magiging pinaka-workhorse ng armed forces, especially the Philippine Air Force, no? So, meron na ba tayong kapalit or replacement for the Bell 412? Considering that because of the Canada's refusal to sell the Philippines, ano po ang magiging mga alternate? Meron na ba tayo?
Sir, there are at least 4 qualified proponents or aircraft that will replace eventually the UH-1. This is for the combat utility helicopter. We looked at still the Bell 412, but it has to be made clear that it is a procurement that is solely from the US, not from Canada. Secondly, we have the Augusta Westland 139M. This is the military version of the 139 being manufactured by Italy. Then we also have the late addition is the Blackhawks from the US. They're really expensive, but we still have to look into the details of their offer. And lastly, we look at the MI-171 of Russia. Those who offered also are the
Plus
Airbus.
also, di ba? I think Jordan will be donating to Huey Cobras, tama ba?
That's for the attack helicopters.
Attack helicopters, dalawa
It's
po.
different from the combat utility helicopters.
Anyway, I'm just general, no? Kasi
Yes,
po, nag-aalala na ako kasi I don't think we have that much maintenance, no? So, siguro yung, hindi naman sa nagiging bias ako, but andyan na kasi equipment natin. I'm just concerned, Mr. Chairman, if they add more from different suppliers, iba-ibang discipline, iba-ibang equipment, iba-ibang technology, nakakalito ho yan eh, di ba? So, yun na po. I think, pati nga ang Russian, ang Korean, di ba? Secretary Lorenzana, nagkakwentuhan tayo that you pinatesting pa nga kayo, sumakay pa kayo na Surion helicopter na bilib na bilib. Kaya lang, may nag-crash na po no Surion. Kaya wag ko medyo pag-isipan ho yun. Just recently, I'm sure you know about this, General Quintanar. So, I'm hoping that you will buy from equipment that are being used by most, for example, most Air Force, most Navies, and most armies all around the world, di ba? Hindi yung nakakalungkot, yung so-called, Mr. Chairman, meron mo nga naman, Pilipinas, saka Poland lang na supplier na silang equipment manufacturer. There is something fishy here. Bakit tayo kukuha sa isang bansa na sila lang ang gumagamit at tayo? Di ba? So, I hope, General Quintanar, Secretary Lorenzana, that we will get the best equipment because the lives of our men in uniform are on the line every time they use this equipment. Lalo na po yung mga aircraft, no? Hindi naman pwedeng iparada yung mga yan pag tumirik di ba? So I'm very particular, of course, with this. Kaya nga ho, nagkaroon tayo, Mr. Chairman, during the 16th Congress, yung pong UH-1D refurbished, we had an investigation. Buti nga, natigil po yung procurement, no? Dapat yung 21. Ngayon, naging 7 na lang, nag-crash pa yung 2, so 5 na lang. Di ba? Hindi ko nagkakamali. So, siguro sa yung may pinapato si Senator Gordon, yung pong nag-crash ba, was that insured? Napalitan ho ba yun? Yung mga ibang equipment? For example, yung 2 Sokol and 2 UH-1Ds.
Sir, unfortunately, all military aircraft are not insured, sir. It is precisely because of the nature of our operations, no insurance company would dare offer insurance for military aircraft, sir.
Anyway, just to continue with the procurement process, siguro any updates na lang, take advantage na rin na dyan, our flag officer in command is here, no? It's only the first time probably in history, Mr. Chairman, that our country, our armed forces will be able to buy sophisticated equipment, no? Yung pong frigates, no? Na naging controversial din, nagkaroon ng hearing. So, any update na lang po as a status, kung kailan ang delivery. Sige po, Admiral,
the delivery of our first frigate will be in March 2020, and the other one will be on the September of 2020, Your Honor. That's the update of the frigate project of the Philippine Navy, Your Honor.
so ano na po nangyari? Are we already complete? Is it already, nasahal na ba sila? Are they, armaments are already being placed o hindi pa? Nasahal pa lang siguro.
Not yet, Your Honor. I think the first frigate will have its kill-laying ceremony on the 6th.
Oo, nagkaroon ng cutting, no?
Yes,
Nabasa ko po yun.
So the second frigate steel cutting was done last week, Your Honor. And the kill-laying of the first frigate will be done in October 16 of this year. We will be proceeding to Korea to witness the kill-laying ceremony of the first frigate, Your Honor.
What is the, again, ano nga po yung manufacturer to? HHI? Am I correct?
Yes, the Hyundai Heavy Industry is the one manufacturing our 2 frigates, Your Honor.
Admiral Pedrado, okay naman ho yung HHI, I think, no, with regards to making the hull and all. Ang talagang medyo particular kami, which I think we had discussed thoroughly during the last time, medyo sensitive, controversial, may call it, is the combat management system and the weapon system that you will be used. So ano na po nangyari? Natuloy na po ba talaga yung Hanwa? Talagang ito na po ang magiging platform natin as
Yes,
the
Your Honor,
combat management
The
system?
combat management system will be provided by Hanwha Industry of Republic of Korea.
For the record, Admiral Pedro, ilan po ang bansang gumagamit ng Hanwa? Ilan po ang gumagamit?
It's being used by the Republic of Korean Navy, Your Honor.
And ano po?
Also of Malaysian Navy, Your Honor.
And so dalawa po, tsaka pangatlo
Yes,
tayo.
Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
So again, for the record, Mr. Chair, it's just 3. Actually, dalawang ano. And that's why we had quite a discussion because yung pong nagtatakaw kami, Thales, which is used by about 18 navies in the world, pinagpalit ho natin sa 3. And we were saying during that during the hearings that huwag yung problemahin kung mahal. Kasi 15 billion ho itong proyektong ito, Mr. Chairman. 15 billion, the frigates project, 300 million lang ho yan, lang, no? Kung ikukumpara doon sa 15 billion, and that is the brains. Yan po magiging buhay ng frigates na ito, yung pong combat management system. It will be the ones to control the armaments, the radars, and everything. So, sana po ay, kung pinakinggan niyo ng Senado, kami po ang maghahanap ng pondo para na makuha natin yung best equipment. I would like to go on to the Horizon 2. Sa Horizon 2, do you have meron ho tayong 2 Corvette, no? That is also on the line to be procured. Tama ho ba?
Yes, Your Honor. We have 2 corvettes as part of the Horizon 2 of the Philippine Navy, Your Honor.
Oh, these are bigger than frigates, di ba? Ilan po ang
Corvette.
capacity nito? How long and how many sailors or men should be on board?
Corvette is a smaller warship than the frigate, Your Honor.
It's smaller, of course, the frigates, and then the battleship na, no? So it's smaller. So ilan footer po ito?
Based on the technical working group study, Your Honor, we will have at least 72 meter long, the length of our corvette, Your Honor. 72.
About how many men on board?
It depends, Your Honor, on the equipment. And
So
the
70
weapons.
meters, it's about 200 feet, no?
Yes, Your
200
Honor.
footer to.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that means, Vice Admiral Pedrad, so ang mangyayari ho niyan, so since naghanwa na ho tayo dun sa una, does it mean that the combat management system of the other equipment or the other ships that will be acquiring will be based also, kailangan compatible na rin sa Hanwa?
It should be that the combat management, since we already have Hanwha, sir, should be also Hanwha. But if a different proponent will bid our corvette, sir, it depends on what they will put into the ship, Your Honor, because it's the proponent, it's the manufacturer of the ship that will produce the equipment and the weapon system on board.
Mr. Chairman, dyan po talaga ako hindi ako sang-ayon dyan. We should correct that. Secretary Lorenzana, I hope you are here. Our AFP Chief of Staff is here. Tayo po ang bibili ng gamit. Philippine Navy is the end user. Di ba? Bakit naman ang shipbuilder o ang manufacturer ang magde-decide kung ano po ang ilalagay na combat management system at ano ang ilalagay na weaponry system? Dapat, kung sino po ang end user, tayong gagamit, tayo ang dapat nagsasabi. And that's a security issue, Mr. Chairman. Di ba? Kung yung alam po ng manufacturer kung ano yung gusto natin ilagay, alam din na rin po ng country of origin. No? So, that we have to look into again, Mr. Chairman, that it should be the end user, meaning our armed forces, who should be followed, no, as to what equipment, as to what combat management system, and other systems that we would want to put into those ships. No, yung shipbuilder, yung hull, okay lang yan, sila gumawa, pero hindi naman yung kung ano yung gusto nating ilagay, sila na magde-decide. Yun lang po ang sa akin, Mr. Chairman. I hope that we can correct that. I think there is something wrong in this procurement. Last, siguro kay sino po ang in charge sa Department of Defense? Yusek Elfante, no? Kayo po ang sa finance and probably for the procurement. So, ano po ang position ninyo? Doon po sa napag-usapan na rin lang po yung tungkol sa Russia and China pivot. Would you still would you push? Kasi po nasa position po kayo eh. Ano po ang magiging inyo pong tingin po dito? Kasi gamit na ho ng karamihan Western already, no? So magkakaroon tayo ng interoperability issue.
Pero again, sir, I'm not the only one who is pushing that. It's the procurement, sir, initially starts with the TWG.
So you say,
Yes, sir.
I'm not saying that you are pushing already.
Yes, sir.
I'm just asking what will be your position. Ano po ang inyong palagay tungkol dito sa problemang ito, sa
Sir,
ganitong
my position
sitwasyon?
is dependent upon the recommendation of the technical working group wherein passes to the back and
That's
so on.
why,
So
wala ko naman ako sinasabing pinupush kayo. I was just asking.
yes, sir.
about-
No, I have no
Ano po
position. My
inyong-
position is with the
That's good
recommendation
to hear.
of the
That's
back,
good to
sir.
hear. So, with regards to the other spare parts, no? Now that we are in a position to procure better equipment, saan ho tayo kumukuha ng suppliers? Doon pa sa mga mom and pop stores or doon na sa mga authorized original equipment manufacturers or OEM? Kasi po, we have to make sure that we are getting the correct equipment, the correct spare parts by buying the original equipment manufacturers, no, doon sa mga authorized. Kasi pag yung mga dati, understandable, no, wala ho siguro tayo pang capability kung sino-sino supplier na lang natin eh. Di ba? So, ano, napaka-importante yan, Mr. Chairman, that we buy the original genuine parts from OEM authorized companies.
Sir, our equipment, sir, are normally, especially our spares, is through public bidding, sir. Through public bidding, sir.
And also, Yusik Elefante, may nag-ano sa akin po, hindi ko naman sinaano, no? Nagkaroon tayo ng Defense and Arms Show just recently, and I think all of you were there. Is it true that you were pushing, hindi naman pushing, wag na, encouraging everybody to look at the Russian equipment or manufacturers?
No, sir.
Sige po, yun lang po. Kaya, kasi natanong nyo lang, hindi ko naman kayo tinatan sa tungkol sa push. I hope that you will understand that I am very particular, Mr. Chairman, with regards to the equipment acquisition. No? Again, let me reiterate that the lives of our men in uniform are at stake, no? Lalo na puro sa frigates. No? Malalaman po ng kalaban, hindi naman kalaban, ng ibang navies kung ano po yung kargada natin eh. Di ba? And you are putting the lives of those men in uniform, those who aboard those ships on the line. So we have to make sure that we will be buying the correct equipment. That's all, Mr. Chair, for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I recognize Senator Gordon, and with his permission, may I just allow Senator Nason to ask a few questions.
Del, this is probably the 20th budget deliberation that the chair and I have attended. No? And nagko-connive kami kanina. Ang observation namin is the more things change, the more they remain the same. Now, ito, short intervention. No? I was going to ask the service commanders, si Robert, no, si Rolly, at saka si Gerard, but I'll just focus on you para you can think this out. No? Sabi ng Secretary ng DBM, we have the best procurement law in the world. But that applies only if you are buying paper clips and bond paper. But if you are buying combat management system and frigates, medyo you have to apply certain standards. Now, this is food for thought lang, no? So that you can get things moving. If you notice, I take off from where Senator JV and Senator Trillanes left off, no? We stopped the hearings on the frigate issue because the information that was getting to us, I'm not justifying, no? There were some things that were set in motion that were irreversible. And to intervene at certain points in time would be detrimental to public interest. Okay. Let me just share this with you para you can process it with your... first is, there are two principles that I think we should agree on. First, when we procure anything, it should be end-user driven. Okay, yung gagamit ang magsasabi kung anong kailangan, hindi yung nasa air condition na opisina. Second, the technical working groups. You mentioned this earlier, Del, no? Mo, pag yung technical working group hindi technically qualified, di ba? At they give the information to the whatever level, no? Then the decisions, whether it's procurement or some other policy initiative, will not be rational, intelligent, and informed. And it will affect our long-term policy. So please, process this para we can, for that matter, dinadagdagan ko lang yung homework ninyo, can you include possible amendments to the procurement law as it applies to your projected budget?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll do that, sir.
Yes, please. So, and lastly, para sandali lang ito before we give way to Senator Gordon. What office in the DND is in charge of self-reliance? Including yung plans to put up a military industrial estate somewhere in Bataan?
Yes, sir. We have a bill pending in the Senate, sir, for establishment of a defense economic zone that is now the government arsenal.
Yes. So, who is in charge?
Saan ba si Ramos? Asik Ramos should be. I have one assistant secretary who is in charge with that, sir. Asik Ramos. But the director of the arsenal is there, sir. Si
Okay,
Danny Casabar.
Okay naman. What I'm saying is, maybe this is a good time as any to start habang we have the opportunity because, when you're at our age, there is very little you can do to intervene, no? We are on our legacy mode. So maybe you can consider that. This will be our collective legacy to ensuring the defense and security of our beloved country, no? So maybe that is something you can set in motion for the long term because I don't know if this opportunity will come again in our lifetime. Diba? Where you are and where we are is really a window of opportunity for us to do this not only properly, but to do this well. So I put this at your doorstep para in your projected, not only for this budget deliberations, no? You can incorporate that as a part of your proactive vision. So procurement law, technical working group must be technically qualified, no? And the issues that you raised, no? Para we can insulate this from any unwarranted external intervention. Okay? Para pure technical, trabaho lang for God, country, and family lang ito. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So I
Yes, sir. We'll do that, sir.
humbly put that at your doorstep with the permission of the chairman para we can set this proactively in motion.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
We'll do that,
Thank you,
sir.
Mr. Chairman.
The permission of Senator Gordon. Na-mention ho kanina ni Senator Nasan in Government Arsenal. I was given the opportunity to tour the, I think almost 200 hectares ba? Tama, Mr. Casabar? 70 hectares. 370 hectares facility in Bataan, which is the government's facility to produce ammunitions. And I was given the opportunity by Mr. Casabar and Yusek Elefante to tour and to be briefed on that facility. And there's a vision by the good secretary to create a special economic zone focused on the manufacture of ammunitions as well as small firearms, and maybe in the future other firearms that may be needed by our military. But the direction there, Mr. Chair, is really self-reliance. And that's one thing that I've been working closely with the good secretary and also the DND. And one of these days, Senator Nasan, we would like to hear your inputs on how to materialize this vision in the later years.
Sorry to intervene. Every time, by the way, if you're looking at Senator Trillanes, Senator Gatchalian, you have to harness this opportunity also, no? Because they represent this fresh wind of change blowing across the political, social, economic, and policy landscape. Listening to them should give an idea what the future looks like. Ito, no? Just one request, and I'm not implying anything. Tignan ko, sa Office of the Secretary of National Defense, 12.278 million, no? For capital outlay. And included here is procurement of ICT equipment, 2.979 million. Uh, I suppose you have a copy of this also, no? You can confirm this? Anyway, the numbers are not as important. Sa Veterans Memorial Medical Center, sa capital outlay 153.929 million, kasama din dito yung Information and Communications Technology Equipment, 8.5 million, ICT software, 0.429 million. What's my point, Del, no? Warfare now is evolving very rapidly because of the technological revolution. Pretty soon, it will not be boots on the ground, but cyber warfare. In fact, information is the new oil. Whoever controls information has the edge in warfare, no? Whether it's low intensity or some other. So maybe, this is again a suggestion, no? A humble suggestion. You can set this in motion. Because it's all about connectivity. It's about connecting everybody through fiber optics, no? Because electronics, di ba? Walang wires. It's real time. Whoever can get the information 1 millisecond ahead of our global competitors has the edge. So I'm just again suggesting this with the permission of the chair para you can start moving in that direction. That is the equalizer. There is no way we can catch up with a blue water Navy, with an Air Force, which includes our backlog in 130,000 classrooms in education. The way forward is the technological revolution, harnessing the power of information and communications technology. This is something for you to process and proactively think about as you apply it to your proposed budget. Okay? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Just to echo, Nick, just to echo the statement made by Senator Nasan, in this day and age of artificial intelligence and biotechnology, di ba dapat doon na tayo papunta? But it seems you proposed a miserable budget of 23 million, which the DBM did not adopt. Why did you not push for... Ano nangyari sa cyber group nyo? Di ba you're supposed to develop a cyber workforce sa AFP? Paano nyo ngayon na gawin yon kung walang budget?
Mr. Chairman, we have proposed cyber operation system network and cyber security, one lot costing 1.5 billion, sir. 1.5 billion.
It says here, in the same submission, there's a budget for AFP Cyberspace Simulation Center. Part of the activation and operationalization of its cyber group, 6.8 million for 3 years, to 2019 to 2021. Pero yung DBM, ang funding niya, in-schedule na for 2020. So, di ba, sabi ko nga kanina, in this day and age of biotechnology and artificial intelligence, dapat tumitingin na tayo sa control of the airwaves and cyberspace, di ba? How can we do that kung wala namang funding?
Yes, sir. We proposed that to the DBM, but they remove it because we already have, for our modernization, sir, is the one that I mentioned a while ago, the 1.5 billion cyber operation system network and cyber security, which is already approved by DBM for modernization fund, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anyway, I think you should pursue that, ano?
Yes, sir. We will pursue it, sir.
Yeah.
In coordination with the DICT, because they are the ones in charge of.
The DICT is here.
Mr. Chairman. Dick,
Sorry,
Dick, I'm sorry.
engage.
Del, if I'll follow through, no? Pasensya na kayo. We will not be able to meet like this as open as you want to, no? Yung sinabi ni Chair, no? If you pursue in that direction. It will impact on your PS, no? Your MOE and your capital outlay. You know why? Papasok na dun sa capital outlay ninyo yung infrastructure. That's the invisible structure for connecting the entire country, and it will impact on national security, on energy, on education, on health, almost the entire policy landscape. So, please, this is an appeal.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, meron pa kaming 10 billion for C4 I-Star. Also for under modernization program.
Hindi, pero ang punto ko rito, Del, no, Charlie, is lay the groundwork.
Sir, this is
Put
what
the
I'm going to
infrastructure
say,
in
sir.
place para whoever is president, whoever is SND or chief of staff or service commander, that's the long-term direction we'll pursue.
That's the backbone, sir. Backbone
Yes.
mo talaga.
Oh, that's called vision. But
Yes,
who
sir.
are we to tell you about that? You're on the ground. You're
Yes,
the
sir.
ones engaged. Thank you for listening.
Thank
you,
you,
Mr.
Finally, Senator Gordon is recognized. Take it away.
Alright, Mr. Chairman, I'm always happy to listen to the experts, properly trained military men of our country. And I'm happy to be with our military, in spite of the fact that we're short on arms and weaponry. I think we've managed to maintain some form of stability in our country at the cost of very important lives by the military. I've always been a fan of the military, as you all know. I grew up beside the naval base, and I always saw the growth of the American military, Marines and Navy and the Air Force in Clark. So I've always dabbled in that. Now, I have some very basic questions before I start. And the first question is, we are supposed to protect our skies. What do we need to protect the skies? Very briefly, what kind of assets do we need to protect the skies of our country? Para naintindihan po tayo ng mga mamamayan.
Sir, we have what we call an integrated air defense system.
Excuse me, sir, medyo incomplete yung question ko. Kay Secretary Lorenzano muna, what are the perceived threats in our country? First, external. We have concerns in the West Philippine Sea. We have concerns in Southern Philippines in terms of our neighbors who may be still interested in some of our territory. Yung ho ba ang nating external concerns right now?
External threats, those are the external threats, Senator. Yun po ang ating external threats coming from the south. Of course, West Philippine Sea, we have a threat there by the Chinese.
We have counterclaims, ano po?
Oh, yes, 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 sir. Yeah.
And we have 7,686 islands now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So, based on that, sir, you have an external ocean or whatever you call international seas around us and our territorial seas. Ano ho ang kailangan natin para sa air defense natin?
For our air defense, we need the radars.
Do we have that, sir?
We are now installing that, Senator. We just installed two. One, in Pasukin, in Ilocos Norte.
If I'm not mistaken, when the U.S. Navy was still here, you had Poro Point, you had radars there.
Before, sir,
Before
we
they
have one in Pasukin, one in, also in Poro Point,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
and one in Lubang.
Opo.
Lubang Island, in Mindoro, and Palawan, diba? Palapas sa Palawan, oh.
La Union, basically, and Lubang. Ano po?
Yes, Senator. Yeah.
And were there others? Wala na. And at that time,
Dait, we also have one in Dait for the eastern part of the...
I'll try to be fast po, no? Kasi baka malimitasyon to sa oras. Yung pong, at that time, Clark was the air cover of the Philippines, along with our Philippine Air Force, which at that time, in the 50s, was second to Asia.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's correct, sir, right?
The air
Meron
cover...
ba tayong Blue Diamonds nung araw?
Yes, yes.
At that time, in the 50s, when they had a movie called The Hunters, may F-86. We had F-86s here in our country. Ano po? We even sent our planes to Congo,
Yeah.
United Nations, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
At magaling po ang Air Force natin at may cover tayo rin ng Amerikano sa radar. Ngayon po, sabi nyo, naglalagay na po tayo ng radar. In other words, present progressive.
We are We are not installing radars.
And
And acquiring more.
would that radar have the capability pag dumaan ho yung aeroplano ng civilian, ng let's say, anumang bansa, pwede natin singilin yun pag dumadaan sa ating airspace. Right now, hindi tayo makasingil.
May I request the Air Force Commander to reply?
Yes, sir.
Sir, Your Honor, we need at least 8 radars, the military type, to have one sky picture of our entire area. We have acquired 3. The first one has been installed in northern Luzon, and it's now fully operational. The second one will be arriving by the first quarter of next year. It will be installed in Mindoro. The third one will be arriving later of maybe the third or fourth quarter of next year. It will be placed at Palawan.
Palawan, yes.
So these 3 have been so designed so that we'll have a good cover of our western frontier.
And that would embrace the West Philippine Sea.
Yes, Your Honor.
So ano man
Then-
dumarating na aeroplano dyan, for external defense, makikita natin. Hindi na tayo bulag.
No more, Your Honor. But we need additional 5, which has been integrated in the Horizon 2 to complete the air picture.
And what would that be embracing in terms of coverage?
It will the entire archipelago already, sir.
From
Then-
the Pacific to the West Philippine Sea.
Yes, sir. Then we will integrate this with CAAP radars so that we will be able to filter what they cannot detect. What they cannot detect, we will give to them in terms of information. And because of this, they can collect if they are found to be
At para sa nanonood po natin dito at tagapakinig natin at yung mga nasa tabi, magkano ho ang cost dyan para maintindihan natin ang kahalagahan ng Armed Forces of the Philippines? Na dapat pagtanggol tayo. Di ba ba, inatake tayo ng mga Amerikana hapon nung araw. Nalimas lahat yung sa Clark Field. December 7. December 8 actually here. Magkano ang cost niyan?
Sir, for the radars that we're going to acquire, the 5 additional, it's 5.5 billion. So it's 5.5 billion, sir. So practically, it's 1.1 billion per
copy.
radar. Yes, sir.
Ah.
Then for the aircraft, we need to have a multi-role combat aircraft. Based on doctrines, it's a high number. It's 96. But the ideal number, we can live with it, is going to be 48. We do not have a semblance of that multi-role combat aircraft. What we only have are the FA-50s. These are classified as light lead-in fighter trainers, sir. But they can still perform a semblance of intercept functions.
In other words, yung kalaban niyang FA-50, kung kalaban ninyo, halimbawa isang bansa katulad ng Amerika, hindi pa natin nakikita yung aeroplano, nakikita na nila tayo, we would be wasted already.
In today's technology,
Tama po
given,
yan.
that is correct, Your Honor.
Wala tayong capability na malayo ang tingin, katulad ng kanta, malayo ang tingin, di ba? Pero yung ibang kalaban natin, malayo ang tingin, di natin sila nakikita, tatamaan na kagad tayo.
The first 12 that we're going to acquire based on the approved, again, program for Horizon 2, sir, will allow us to have that capability.
Kailan yun? Good.
This,
Gerard,
within, yes.
Before we continue, no? So that we'll not lose the train of thought. Very important yung ni-raise ni Senator Gordon, no? During our time, millions of years ago, we had a PADIS, di ba? Philippine Air Defense Identification Zone, which is non-existent. Correct? Now, I'm not criticizing, I'm not conducting a critique on your mindset, no? Do we really need, when it comes down to nuts and bolts, do we really need the capability to identify any aircraft that enters, before you answer, I'm asking because I do not know. Okay? Before that, before we started thinking about procuring our own, Senator Gordon, Your Honor, we were relying on the tracking mechanism of civilian air traffic controllers. Pag may dumaan, pag hindi nila accounted for, it's either friend or foe. Now, the second question is, suppose we identify enemy aircraft or unauthorized aircraft passing through our air zone. No? Can we do anything about it?
Based on our current capabilities, we cannot, sir.
Okay.
But that is the direction of the development of the Air Force, sir.
Now,
Even with the FA-50.
It has limited capabilities to intercept, sir. We can do that.
In other words, you're traversing Philippine military airspace, identify yourself, and if you persist on not following, we can shoot you down. I mean, that's the bottom line.
That's the tempo of our development this next 5 years,
So,
sir.
ang pinakamalapit lang talaga, FA-50, malapit lang ang range doon.
Yes, sir.
Nandito na yung plano ng kalaban, di ba? O nung bumibisita.
How it works, sir, is we have the radars as our surveillance. It is used for detection. Next is they are supposed to identify those aircraft up there in the air. After identifying friend or foe, if it is declared as not friendly, then we go to the third mode, which is interception.
Yes.
That's where the fighters come in.
Well,
And,
all
once
we're
we
trying,
test-
all we're trying to suggest,
Yes,
General,
sir.
with all due respect, and thank you, Senator Honasan, and I'd like him to continue, is meron tayong extra pair of eyes in a long range right now. Wala tayo nung ngayon, di ba?
We already have one, sir.
Ayun nasa La
Sa
Union.
north, yes, sir.
Anong range nun ho?
At least 250 nautical miles, sir.
250.
Nautical miles.
Pwede na sa inyo yan.
That is the normal range of the radars in business, sir.
Meaning to say, yung mga Chinese, very sensitive sila. Dumaan na yung ating mga aeroplano dyan, sinisita na tayo. Ang lapit nun, 250 miles, malapit lang yun. Go ahead.
Gerard, I asked permission from Senator Gordon. No? That's why I'm suggesting, no, considering out of the box interoperability in terms of detection with our other allies. Because if you look at the map, no, we are right smack square in the traffic light. Any air traffic that crosses our territorial limits will affect not only the Philippines, but our ASEAN neighbors, including China. So what I'm saying is, just think about it, Gerard, no, in terms of proactive planning, no, including budgeting, no, na we cannot continue to relegate ourselves to a reactive mode, no, trying to force the issue on capability. Reasonably, we cannot have, even in the short, medium, or long term. Okay? Just consider that, para we can go into the nuts and bolts that Senator Gordon is raising. In fact, earlier he was saying, Greg, sabi niya, what about the individual equipment of our airmen, seamen, and infantrymen? I'm talking about, combat boots, uniform, communications equipment, canteen, the basics. Covered na ba tayo ron? Let's do our homework and start where we cannot give what we do not have. We have the sophisticated equipment, but our infantrymen are drinking from family-sized bottles strapped to their web belts. You know what I mean? Okay, just consider that, gentlemen. We're not telling you what to do. No, you are much better than we will ever be, but we just want to compliment your efforts. But we can do this properly for the benefit of the tax-paying Filipino citizenry. Okay? Thank you, Senator Gordon. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, sir. There are a couple of wars, according to Senator Honasan, in effect, what he's saying. One is the external threat to us, and the other one which requires complete equipment for our soldiers. Good boots, good firepower, load, pagkain, and of course, pag nasaktan sila, pwede natin sila i-medevac right away. Malapit tayong hospital na malapit, ambulance service na malapit. And I think we're developing that. Is that true, sir?
True, Your Honor.
We have 2 ships from Indonesia that we bought.
Yes, there could be.
Na merong helicopter capability, ano po?
Yes.
At
Your Honor.
pag kami kaya ngayon, mas ganado yung mga sundalo natin na pag nasaktan ako, I can be medevac and dalhin ako sa hospital.
Yeah, you can be medevac, yes.
And
yes.
I pin a medal on the armed forces for having that, if I can pin medal. But the point that I'm trying to raise also is para maintindihan mo ang budget. Kasi pagka budget, hindi natin naabot ng ating mga kababayan na kailangan natin ng pera para sa armed forces. Hindi lang pa sweldo ng sundalo, hindi lang para sa mga veterans natin na ngayon medyo nakakaabot-abot tayo ng konti, may 60 billion tayo sa veterans. Pero yung sinasabi ko, malayo pa, meron tayong capability na makita yan at meron tayong panapat na aeroplano. Ano po? Ang sinasabi ko po, kulang yung inyong F-50. F-A-50 yun, made in Korea. Pero sabi niya, ang jet nun, ang engine nun, F-15 ba? Or F-16? May nagsabi sa akin eh. Yung engine nun,
Yes, sir. F-18, sir.
F
F-18, sir.
F-18 ang engine nun.
But it's only
Yung Hornet.
It's only a single engine. Yes, sir.
Ano po yan? Pakilapit lang ho sa mikropono.
It's only one engine, sir, but it's of the F-18 engine, sir.
The Hornet
Only one F-18.
the Hornet
has two engines,
Only one engine, ano po?
Yes, sir.
Eh, yung F-18, dalawa ata, ano?
That's correct, sir.
So, kapos.
Yes, sir.
Ayoko tumawa, pero I just want to emphasize na kailangan natin yan. Going into a very dangerous world now, kailangan natin yan. Ano? And I'm for that. No? So, sa area, no? Sa Navy, we are a coastal country. We have twice the coastline of the United States of America. Ang panapat natin yan, frigates. Ano po?
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Bakit po tayo bumibili ng frigate? Nagtatanong lang ako at in my naivete, please forgive me. Nakikita ko yung mga bago, as of 2011, meron na silang littoral Navy sa Amerika na dinidevelop.
Yes.
At pinagbibili nila sa Coast Guard sa Saudi Arabia. And in fact, Singapore, a small city-state, is building them. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. The littoral combat ship is the replacement of the United States Navy ship for the frigate, Your Honor.
Frigate,
Yes, sir.
pang replacement.
Yes, sir.
Meron tayong Oliver Perry Hazard.
Yes, sir. Because
Ano?
it has better capability, Your Honor.
Can you please come closer, medyo hard of hearing
Because it
ako.
has better capability, Your Honor.
Ano po yan?
It has better capability, the littoral combat ship.
Definitely. At ito talagang panlaban sa coastal. Na yun ang kailangan natin, hindi ba? Mabilis, maliit, 40-man crew. Tama ho ba yan?
It is very expensive, Your Honor. It costs...
I'm not looking at the expense.
Yes.
Tayo mga Pilipino, tinuruan tayo ng mga Kastila. Pag mag-aambisyon tayo, ambisyoso ka. Mahirap lang tayo. Hindi mo kaya yan. Entresuelo ka lang.
Yes, Your Honor.
I would like to remove that from the mentality of our countrymen na pwede tayong, sabi ka sa ulong ko po, aim high. Mag-ambisyon tayo. Ano po? So don't say it's expensive, please. Hindi kayo bibigyan kung it's expensive. What is needed, katulad yung sinasabi kanina ni Senator Honasan, hindi yung nagdidesisyon sa air condition, pero ano didesisyon yung kailangan ng tao sa baba, yung lumalaban, hindi ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
So in other words, it's needs-driven. And it is the responsibility of the AFP with the Congress of the Republic of the Philippines na sabihin, ito ang kailangan natin. Hindi natin pwedeng itago yan. Kung wala yan, hindi tayo makakasapat. Tama ko ba yan?
May I make a statement, Your Honor? What we need...
No, answer my question, please, sir.
Not really, Your Honor.
Not really.
Because the U.S. Navy is a blue water navy and we're not a blue water
That's
navy.
my point.
Yes, Your Honor.
Sir, that's my point. We don't need a blue water
Yes, sir.
navy. We need a littoral navy.
Yes,
Littoral
sir.
meaning pang coastline, pang depensa. So pag sinabi ho natin dito, nag-agree tayo, kaya tinatanong ko, ano ba ang kailangan ng Air Force? Sinabi niya sa akin, kailangan ng radar, kailangan yan, marami pa kailangan yan, pero pinamadali ko lang ako dahil hindi naman ako makakapagtanong ng mahaba eh. Ano ba ang kailangan ng Navy? Hindi natin kailangan blue water, so alis na yan. Kailangan natin coastal Navy.
Yes, Your Honor. We have program for interdiction vessel that is used for coastal
Sabihin na lang, interdiction, pag-aaral ng mga nag-smuggle ng drugs, pag-aaral ng mga pumapasok sa likod. Ito na ang headline, no? Ang headline, no, nakalagay, oh, kaninang umaga. IS fighters return to Mindanao. Oh. Ang laki-laki dito, ho, nakalagay. Tama-tama nga. Islamic State fighters return to Mindanao. Saan papasok yan? Nakita ko, ang immigration naghihigpit sa Pakistan, pero pumapasok sa backdoor yan. So you need a littoral fleet, you need a small craft para ma-interdict yan.
Yep.
Kaya maganda ho yung pangalan Dick nag-i-interdict. No?
That's why we are procuring, Your Honor,
Right, well,
we are programmed to buy 6 offshore patrol vessels which are smaller than
But
the
sir,
frigates, Your Honor.
kung meron kayong 40-man vessel, in the long run, mas makakatipid, mas mabilis, hindi bali mahal. Ang binibenta nila sa Saudi Arabia, 5 billion for 8 vessels in 2011. Ang bili natin ng frigate is, magkano? 90 billion? 9 billion?
8 billion per ship, Your
8
Honor.
billion ho. So, if you get one vessel na ganon, siyempre, mas matindi yung kaysa sa frigate panlaban sa coastal. Ano ho? I'm not trying to supplant my judgment. I'm just opening up insights. Is that... Thank you.
We have a program for littoral coastal operation, Your Honor, but we need to have the frigate also, Your Honor, to protect our territorial waters, like the Philippine Rise, the West Philippine Seas.
Hindi ko kaya ng coastal ganyan. Yung coastal pa nakita ko na littoral vessel, meron pa silang helicopter capability. Ang hinihingi ko na lang huy, maliit eh.
The littoral coastal ship that was built by US are actually a big type of ship, Your Honor.
No sir, meron silang maliliit. Nakita ko
We have
ngayon. Ginagawa
small.
po ng Singapore ngayon. Singapore already has about 11 of them. Ano?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm just trying to open. Tatanong lang ako, yung ba kino-consider nyo? Because I know you're the ones who are gonna make the decision.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yung mga tao nyo lalaban dyan.
Yes, Your Honor. We have program for small ships. We have program for.
Well, a small ship could be anything like compete nung nasa kabineto ako. Hindi natin mahabol yung mga compete ng hindi makahabol yung Coast Guard natin. Bumili lang tayo, ma'am, ng compete kako. Dagdagan na lang natin ng isa pang outboard motor para kung 10 sila, 11 yung makina natin, baka makahabol tayo.
We have a multi-purpose attack craft, which is a 55-footer
Sir,
ship.
We know what you have. I'm trying to find out what you need.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I promise you, as I've always done here, as Senator Hunasan, Senator Lacson, Senator Trillanes, they're all defense trained. We stand up for that. Hinahanap namin kung anong kailangan nyo para matulungan namin kayo. Hindi yun nakalagay lang dito sa budget.
Yes, Your Honor. We will.
So, okay ho.
We provide a list
So,
of.
i-consider ho lang nyo sinasabi ko dahil baka naman mas magandang bumili ng 3 niya kaysa bibili tayo ng 6 na frigates tapos palagi nasisira. Hindi ba ho totoo? Yung isang Hamilton class natin, bagong-bago kuno. Pero bagong luma, ni walang kanyon, binigay ng Amerikano sa atin, isinatsyat pa natin doon sa Spratley.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yun ang sinasabi ko eh. Ako, I'm a good second-hand user. Sa Red Cross, pala second-hand ginagamit ko. Namimili na ako ng bago ngayon. Dahil mas menos at mas ma-efficient. Pero sa tingin ko, I think sa Navy natin, we should give our fighting men the best. We should protect them as much as we can. Ano po? So, let me just go to another point. Sa military ho, sa armed forces, I can see you have armored personnel carriers. Ang natatandaan ko yung Simba na 4 na gulong na kinantsuhan pa ako ni Mahathir doon napunta siya sa Subic. Sabi niya, Dick, why do you have 4 gulong imbis na 6, imbis na 8? Sabi ko, kulang ang pera eh. Sabi niya, pag tinamaan niya ang gulong niya, hindi na natakbo yan, mafa-flat na yan. And most of the time, sa nakita ko sa action, marami tayong nadadaling ganyan, napa-flat yung gulong. Tama ho ba yun, General Galvez?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, ang sundalo natin, kailangan ng maganda yung ina-address na natin yung kanilang pangangailangan. Pag may combat, meron tayong ambulance capability, airvac, no? May tayo ng helicopters. Pero kailangan rin ho nila ng bala. Ilan ho ba ang basic load ngayon?
Yung sa
M16 or yung mga tao natin sa baba?
365.
The grunts.
Yes, sir.
Ilan ho?
360, sir. 360 per individual, sir.
3 basic loads? Nakikita ko, ang dami nilang dala eh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ha?
Yes, sir. One individual basic load is 360 for M16, sir.
I'm sorry, sir, I cannot understand you. Can you please Malapit yung
Basic load is consists of 360 rounds, Senator, and the soldier can only carry one basic load when he goes out for combat.
So madali maubusan. Basta kasakali magbakbakan.
Meron naman silang, yung another basic load is nasa company headquarters, company
Itatakbo
train,
pa yan.
kasama nilang tumatakbo na...
I remember during the time of the father of Senator Ejercito, nung nagbakbaka sa Abu Bakar, maubusan na tayo ng bala. Dahil talagang pupukan yung labanan doon. Tama ho ba yan? Maubusan tayo ng bala doon?
Sir, per experience in Marawi, sir, ang ano sir natin, sir,
Abu Bakar po, Abu Bakar.
sa Abu Bakar, sir, I believe wala tayong ano, sir, na, sir.
We almost ran out of ammunition.
I think it's the big bombs that we run out of, Senator, yung malalaki bomba na
Bomba.
ginagamit natin.
Pero
But
sa
with
Marawi,
small
marami
arms,
tayo
marami
dumating,
tayo.
no?
Small arms, marami tayo.
So in other words, ang sinasabi ko lang, kung kailangan natin yon, ano ang sa inyong desirable list or need list ang ilalagay niya? Because nakikita ko, dito general yung mga statement, kailangan naulagan namin kung ano kailangan para yun ang maibigay. Di ba? Or am I being naive?
I think you are correct, Your Honor, that we should give the soldier, they were better to fight. Na hindi man maubusan ng bala. So the ideal one, the ideal fighting round of ammunition that the unit will have is one basic load with the soldier, and the second basic load is with the company train. Yung pangatlo nandoon sa battalion quarters that they can push to the front kung kailangan.
Yes, sir. Ang tanong ko ngayon is, tinatanong ko ngayon na si General Casabar na mahawak ng ating Director for Government Arsenal, mukhang yung gawaan natin ng bala, 1970 pa, reparations pa. In other words, hindi electronic ang gawaan natin ng bala. Hindi mabilis gumawa ng bala, kaya maubusan tayo. Is it about time that we modernize also the arsenal? Is there any plans for us to modernize the arsenal para kompleto tayo sa bala? At ang ginagawa lang nila, small arms. Wala tayo nung mas matataas na kalibre o yung mga pampalit ng mortar. Ikaw ang Singapore, nakakagawa ng barko, di tayo makagawa ng bala. Ang Cebu kagagaling ko doon. They're making commercial ships now. They're making money. Can we not design our own vessels na gamitin yung technology ng iba at least made in the Philippines na gagawa rito, baka mas makayanan pa natin. Ewan ko, if you're looking at that facet.
Yes, Your Honor, we are looking at that. In fact, I and the Admiral Impedral went to the Austal, one of the shipbuilders in Balamban, Cebu, last month, because we are planning to have our six corvettes built there.
Wonderful. Based there, but not made there.
Made there. They will be made in Balamban.
Kala ko based na sabi niya.
Oh,
I think lumalabas yung pagkailokaro niyo sir sa galing sa Mindanao.
it will be made there in Balamban, Your Honor.
Sir, just for the record, ang budget ng military yan, 151 billion. Shorn off, tinanggal yung pang retirement, 151 billion basic. Tama ba yan? Yes.
Yes, Your
Sabi
Honor.
sir, medyo
Your Honor.
naman kanyang staff. Pero ito, kung Singapore, gumawa sila ng literal combat ships that cost $5 billion per ship. Ano po? Or a total of, for 8, 261.3, isang literal ship, 32 billion. Yung binibili nating frigate is 8. Ano
Yes, Your
po?
Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
So, kung paisa-isa tayo, within the next several years, makagawa tayo niyan, order tayo Singapore, aralin natin dito, we can do our own vessels. Would that be a fair statement, sir?
Yes, Your Honor, that's a fair statement.
I'm just trying to put in insights na in the future, Congress would be willing to open its mind towards pushing the portfolio of the military, especially pag naintindihan ng mga tao natin na talagang napag-iwanan tayo. I mean, I don't want to go to my song and dance here originally. In 2005, when I was Senator 2004, I stood up here kino-compare ko, may F-16s, may ang Singapore, meron silang submarines, kaya palakpak ko ang lahat ng buong katawan ko nung sinabi ni General Norizana na bibili na tayo ng submarines. Yung alam, Russian made, umangal kagad ng Amerikano. Wala ho silang pakialam sa atin. Kung yun ang kailangan natin, we should buy those 2 submarines. Pero may panapat tayo. Do you agree, Admiral Quintanar?
Yes, Your Honor.
So are we buying submarines in the future?
Within this second horizon.
It's already part of the second horizon of the Philippine Navy upgrade
So
program.
you'll tell our American friends, by your leave, di naman kayo nagbebenta sa amin, binibigyan nyo sa amin yung mga Hamilton class na walang missile, walang capability, subukan naman namin bumili sa Russia ng 2. Yung nga lang, I agree with Senator Ejercito, yung interoperability, wala naman tayo submarine, pero yung mga jets natin, mga helicopter natin, mga M16 natin, may interoperability yan, hindi ba? Pero kung submarine, kaya natin bilhin yan, para lang may panapat tayo.
Yes, Your Honor.
2 bibili nyo, di ba? Eh, kung titignan nyo siguro ang laman ng submarine ng Singapore, ay, siguro at least they will probably have about 6 or 8. Indonesia has them. Ito, ang Singapore would have, China has 73 submarines. Taiwan has 4 submarines. I'm sorry, Singapore pala, wala. 3 ang Indonesia, Japan has 17, Israel has 6, Malaysia has 2. So, I wouldn't mind having a couple of submarines in our arsenal. And we support that.
Vietnam has 6, Your Honor.
Ah,
Vietnam has 6.
Vietnam has 6 and they're Russian made.
Russian made, yes.
Oh. And kung tayo nililiparan ng kanilang jet, umalis kayo rito, hindi na alam, meron rin tayong submarine na pwede nating panapat, hindi kami alis dito. Kung kayo ay nandyan, kailangan talaga i-ascertain natin yung ating claims doon, hindi ba? Hindi naman ako nag-advocate na maghihira tayo doon, pero dapat meron tayong panapat, meron tayong credibility.
Yes, Your Honor.
Opo. So, there are still a number of questions I'd like to ask, but I just want to say this. The whole question list that I have, isa na sabi ko kayo na isang frigate ninyo, 8 million, hindi masamang bumili tayo ng isa kung yun ang kailangan natin. I'm not pushing it. It's up to you. Pero a modern coastal vessel with anti-submarine capability, with missiles that can be brought on the ocean, moving around, is a harder target than a slow-moving frigate. Would that be correct, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, hindi ako admiral, no? Meron akong 5 admiral ng araw, Admiral Theater, Admiral Restaurant, pero wala akong admiral ng Navy.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, I would just like to say this also. Isang araw, kaya nitanong ko yung nag-crash kanina, talagang walang insurance ang military. Meron sila pagka humanitarian usage, kung gano'n rin lamang, I was going to lay the predicate, kailangan natin ang military natin for rescue, katulad sa Indonesia, ang ginagamit nila military. Right now, nagre-rescue doon sa kanilang tsunami. I would imagine that we should have quite a bit of capability dedicated for humanitarian usage. How many C-130s do we have right now? 6?
We have 5, Your Honor, but we will have another 2 by next year.
That's wonderful to hear. I would imagine a small country like Singapore, pakicheck nyo lang, mas marami yan, di hamak sa atin, ang liit-liit na bayan. Tayo, archipelagic country, maganda yung C-130, we can land, we can supply, we can rescue with it. So I wouldn't mind having a dedicated C-130 for humanitarian purposes. Kung may insurance, pwedeng ako na insurance yan. I would imagine we can get that. But anyway, just a minor point. I just want to point out, the U.S. Marines lost an F-35B aircraft the other day, their first one. How much does that cost?
So based on the aircraft when it was bought, the Marine aircraft variant is $115 million per cap.
$115 million.
Yes, sir.
Kung ikukumpara ho natin sa budget natin, talagang wala silang gear. They provide their military ang kanilang binibigay sa aeroplano, pero yung kanilang military industrial complex, research and research yan. Umaandar yung kanilang mga pabrika, gumagawa yung Boeing, gumagawa yung kanilang mga pabrika ng mga aeroplano. I'm just trying to posit here the long term that our country must have. We can graduate. Na hindi masama magkaroon tayo ng military industrial complex of our own. Pwede naman tayo mangarap at pwede natin gawin maging totoo yung pangarap natin. Na kung sakali bala lamang, makagawa tayo ng sarili natin bala or rockets. We're getting our powder from Turkey. We're getting our powder from South Africa. Tataka ako, gunpowder was introduced by the Chinese nung panahon pa ni Marco Polo. And we cannot even have that. So, sinasabi ko lang ho yun, na walang imposible kung gusto. So, it's important that when you come here, sir, and ako, assistant lang ako nila Senator Nasser sa kanila Senator Lacson, when it comes to the military, nakikiusyoso ako dyan because I feel that we deserve a strong military. And if we don't give our military the right equipment, sabi nga ni Churchill, give us the tools and we will finish the job, then you'll get the kind of military we have. Third class, tinutulak-tulak tayo ng mga Chinese at hindi tayo makagawa. I'm not an enemy of the Chinese. I just don't want them to be telling our Air Force when we fly over there, na, oy, alis kayo dyan. And I would like to be able to say, no, we're flying this part of our territory, and we can have our flights the way the U.S. Navy, the British, the Japanese are going there, hindi nila mapalis. Dahil alam nila, pag sinabi sa kanila, make me, kasabihin lang sa kanila, make me, may ibubuga. Ano po? I'm not going to go through the intricacies of numbers. I just wanted to use my time to be able to help advocate that our military, our Air Force, our Navy, and our troops need the kind of tools that this Congress must provide as much as possible. Ang hinihingi lang ho namin sa inyo, kailangan nyo bang magkaroon ng separate procurement law para sa military? Ang bagal natin eh. Meron ba tayo, no?
Yes, Your Honor, especially in the modernization.
Because ang tagal ng modernization natin, hindi tumatalon eh. So I'm thinking now, kung talaga wala kayo noon, mag-iisip kami para, because it's a national security, it is national need, we must have a special procurement law for the military, especially for the modernization, especially for the grunt who needs more munitions, more medicine, more equipment to take him out in case he's wounded. And I don't think anybody here will disagree with that. Would you?
I agree with that.
Would you support that, sir?
Yes, Your Honor, I support that.
Thank you. You have good judgment. Thank you very much. On that score, I will close my interpellation. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Thank you. Senator Ontiveros, would you like to ask your questions now? Sunny, ano ka pa? No?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Magandang tanghali po sa inyong lahat. Kina Sec Lorenzana and Sir Charlie. I'm especially glad to see our Chief of Staff kasi nakapag salita na rin ako sa kanila when asked by some media people. And I just want to make it a record, Mr. Chair, that I know Sir Charlie, my fellow Eisenhower fellow, as a decent man and a strong supporter of the peace process, especially in the Bangsamoro. And so I made an appeal to him, to you, sir, to continue leading the armed forces as an autonomous institution, and to continue to not allow it to be used in unfounded and unhelpful politicking. So it's been reported that a Red October plot to destabilize the current administration was recently discovered by our security establishment. What is the basis for saying that such a plot or conspiracy exists? And how is this plot or conspiracy different from existing and past efforts of, say, the extreme left to bring about a communist revolution in the Philippines?
Madam, as I stated earlier during Senator Trillanes' comments, ma'am. We are unveiling the CPP-NPA sinister plot to overthrow or to ask the Duterte government by using the Grand Coalition, sir, coalition, and we have some proof that they are really accelerating the pace, wherein they wanted to have a simultaneous mobilization of the students from the different 10 universities, and also the labor sector, which they already infiltrated, and also the IP that they have used, for example, locked by Europe and also locked by in Manila, and also we have really had document exploitations that we have captured from the different high-ranking CPP-NPA in the areas of Eastern Mindanao and also in different areas in Southern Luzon. Just recently, ma'am, the different operations that we have conducted also, we have also top-level surrenderies, and they revealed that they can mobilize since the ouster plot was hatched since 2016 and 2017. They said that they can mobilize within 1 year time, and the time frame, if we will look at the 2017 time frame, it will be culminated at the 50th anniversary of the CPP-NPA. So the most glaring indications is the economic sabotage that they will be undergoing using the templates that they had on the different companies like the Philippine Airlines, like Nutri-Asia, and also the other big establishments in Metro Manila establishment.
I'd just like to make it a record, Mr. Chair, at para rin sa kabatiran ng ating mga kababayan sa National Defense Department at pati sa Armed Forces, that yes, there are groups of us in the opposition, also who are members of the Senate, who are trying to build an opposition coalition. But it's an opposition coalition, for example, made up of Akbayan, with our coalition partners, the Liberal Party, Magdalo Party, Tindig Pilipinas, civil society organizations who are nobody's front. They're not the front of any of, I don't think that they're not the front of the LP as far as I know, or any of us parties. But we are building an opposition coalition to continue to raise constructive criticism and propose concrete alternatives, and including participate in the midterm elections next year mula Senado pababa. And we are not trying to plot, we're out in the open, we are not trying to plot any ouster, not with the extreme left or any other extreme group. So I just wanted to make that of record without arguing with the good Chief of Staff about every detail of what he said. But can the documents that the Chief of Staff referred to, the good Chief of Staff, be submitted to the committee, Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, and Mr. Chair, additionally, also in line with the Security of Tenure Bill that we are trying to pass into law here in the Senate, nabahala lang po ako binanggit yung PAL, even yung Nutri-Asia, pero particularly PAL, for example, kasi yung PAL Employees Association or PALEA, ang tagal-tagal na pong lumalaban sa korte, sa legal, para sa karapatan nila for non-sexist, non-ageist employment policies. At kami po, na mga taga-suporta nila sa among legislators and parties, we are looking forward, hopefully, to more legal victories in court para po sa unyong ito. I mean, it's related to one of my other questions. If the DND and the AFP think that what they think about legitimate social and economic grievances. Narinig ko po yung AFP spokesman, binanggit nila na exploitable issues. Hindi po ito exploitable. At the base, they are experienced issues ng mga mamamayan, in which we are all in government trying to find decent solutions to. Pero just to reiterate my question, Mr. Chair, yung mga dokumento ba na binanggit ni Chief of Staff ay maaaring isumite sa komite?
Ma'am, we can do that in executive session, ma'am. Dahil kasi, ma'am, it might endanger the, of the sources.
I can respect that, Mr. Chair, and if they would need to be presented to the committee in executive session, then I will submit, Mr. Chair. But I would really appreciate getting to the bottom of these plot talks and disabusing our minds among people and groups working in government about this. Kasi ang dami na nga nating problemang gustong harapin, including through the proper budgeting of DND and AFP, without raising and sustaining unfounded accusations against legitimate political groups, parties, and movements na nag-engage sa politika at saka sa governance. As a matter of principle po, can this conflict between government and the CPP, NPA, NDF, can it be resolved through purely military means?
No, ma'am. Considering that the CPP-NPA employed two strategy, which is the armed struggle and the legal struggle or the parliamentary struggle. That's why we are espousing for the creation of a joint task force for an interagency, whole of nation, whole of government approach. So we believe that the solutions of the insurgency problem can be solved primarily through the interventions of the different socio-economic interventions that will uproot the conditions that drive the conflict.
Mr. Chair, I concur with the Chief of Staff na a large part of the solutions sa mga security threats na tinutugunan ng AFP at DND ay sa pamamagitan ng pagresolba ng mga socio-economic roots of the armed conflict. At again, just to make it of record, dahil binanggit ni Chief of Staff, I hope dun sa bubuin o patatakbuhin yung interagency task force ay hiwalay nyo naman yung pagtingin nyo sa mga armed adversaries na hinaharap ninyo. At saka yung mga tulad namin na legitimate opposition groups na unarmed. Pero ngayon, nahahalo-halo sa mga akusasyon ng mga plot, ouster, at kung ano-ano pa. Are we thinking out of the box or are we just rehashing the same old solutions? Kasi yung communist insurgency, Diyos ko po, halos kalahating century na sila by next year. And as of the moment, it seems that the extreme left is as far from achieving its ultimate goal as it has ever been mula sa simula. And regularly, yung security forces natin nag-aanunsyo ng all-out offensives para i-wipe out yung communist insurgency, pero nagsusurvive naman siya. So are we thinking out of the box o same old solutions lang po yung ating sinusubukan?
I believe, ma'am, the underlying causes has not been removed because there is a lack of governance, especially in the marginalized area. That's why the military is working for an interagency approach, considering that the armed struggle, yes, we can dismantle guerrilla fronts, we can degrade them, we can dismantle the politico-military organizations at the barangay and municipal level. But the root causes of injustice and also malgovernance, I believe this is a functions that the different agencies should take. That's why we are working for the interagency task force ending the communist insurgency so that we could work in really eliminating the threat, at the same time eliminating the drivers and the triggers of the conflict.
I agree, Mr. Chair, na yung underlying causes, yung talaga yung kailangang matugunan, no, ma-resolve. And in fact, it doesn't even take an interagency task force to do that. Yung sinabi na rin ni Chief of Staff earlier na whole of government approach, na hayaan namin na nasa civilian government, ang DND at ang AFP mag-focus talaga dun sa identified na security threats and armed threats. And the civilian government, the government to continue focusing on resolving the socio-economic, the underlying causes of the armed conflict. Kung saan, yung mga legitimate opposition groups ay may papel talaga. At meron kaming papel na ginagampanan. At hindi dapat kaming ihahalo sa mga armed threats na nagpa-plot ng kung anong ouster or nahahalo-halo sa mga armed insurgency movements natin dito sa bansa. If military means are not sufficient, what is our current strategy for resolving this conflict? So ito nga po yung sinasabi niyong whole of government approach. Na again, Mr. Chair, I reiterate, hindi kakailanganing isa special task pa ito sa isang interagency task force. It is the whole of government itself. But with the AFP and the DND having particular and unique functions na hindi kailangang tugisin yung opposition. Sun Tzu famously said, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. Does our security establishment know enough about its adversary in this conflict? How they recruit, how they obtain weapons and material, how they train, how they conduct operations?
Yes, ma'am. Ang makita po natin, ma'am, yung DCP-PNPA is using the propaganda and more on information. That's why it is not right to say that we are targeting the opposition. We want to make an awareness to the people because the CP-PNPA now is having a massive recruitment process wherein our youth and the IPs and other marginalized labor unions have been infiltrated. There is an information that within 1 year time they can accelerate the mobilization of the Lacson, which have a very negative implications on our economy. So the information campaign that we are doing is not really intended on attacking the opposition, but to eliminate or the possibility that the CPP-NPA might use the opposition using cutouts in order to, kasi gano'n yun po talaga sa kumakita nyo, ma'am, yung Section 4 ng Charter ng CPP-NPA published in 2016, they will say that they will use a broad coalition including different political parties. And they will do that using bilateral, multilateral, and personal relationships that they have established with different groups. Yun po, ma'am, dahil kasi ang gusto po namin na malaman ng ating mga mamayan na there is a massive recruitment. Even Joma season conducted some BTC in UP Diliman.
Alam niyo po, Mr. Chairman, kahit ito binabanata ng mga trolls, pero sa totoo lang, naging aktivista po ako high school, teenager. Matagal na po yung mga partido ng LP, ng Akbayan, itong Magdalo Party, at tinatayo ngayon yung Tindig Pilipinas. Marami po sa aming matagal na po kaming aktivista, and we became activists alongside yung activism ng mga nag-a-align sa CPP, NPA, NDF. Hindi po kami pinanganak kahapon, kumbaga, kumpara sa kanila. We know each other in political matters. May mga dynamics kami among each other. And I don't think kahit sino sa amin ay magpapagamit sa isa na para kaming bulag or tanga. So, I wish to reiterate na yung binubuo naming opposition movement or even opposition Senate slate dun sa tatlong partido namin and Tindig Pilipinas and some others ay we are out in the open. And actually, yung sinabi pong you are not targeting the opposition, ibig po bang sabihin, handa na po kayong sabihin sa publiko na Akbayan, LP, Magdalo Party, Tindig Pilipinas ay hindi nagpa-plot ng ouster kay Presidente?
Sir, ma'am, yung po ang sinabi ko po kanina po kay Senator Trillanes.
I'm sorry I missed that, but I'm
Senator
glad to
Risa,
hear it again. Yes, Chair, Mr.
Ano
Chair.
lang to, not for anything, for your information, these people proceeded to the Senate straight from an overnight House plenary debate. They haven't had a minute sleep. Yeah. So, ano lang yon? Information lang, FYI lang.
Gladly accepted, Mr. Chair. I apologize for keeping you up awake longer, pero I appreciate the patience shown so far by the Chief of Staff and the DND Secretary. If I may just, Mr. Chair, then make of record my questions para ma-appreciate ko po kung mapadala na lang yung sagot ng DND at AFP para kung meron man akong follow-up questions ay mai-refer ko na lang, mai-address ko na lang sa chair pagdating po sa plenary debates namin dito sa Senado. I'll just enumerate them. A question about the bigger picture from the point of view of our armed forces on what is the future of warfare within the Philippine context. And then what percentage of our annual national budget, 4.8% nga po ba, tama po ba, that we're spending on defense, and how this compares with our neighbors and peers. Pangalawa, as compared with the Prussian general staff who were notable for continuously drawing up and reviewing plans for mobilization and campaigns for the purpose of efficiently addressing the most likely military contingents. Do we have operational plans in place to counter aggression against the Philippines by a global or regional power? And again, I note the advice of the Chief of Staff earlier rather, that specifics may best be discussed in an executive session. So I look forward kung magpapatawag ng ganon si Mr. Chairman. Given history, providing many examples of David's successfully taking on Goliath, the most recent of which was Vietnam taking on a succession of global powers, France, the United States, Russia, and China. Tapos, as an archipelagic country, under current projections, how many vessels are required to adequately fulfill the mission of a strong Navy safeguarding our territorial waters? Are there any, naalala ko po yung dinaos ni Sen Greg noon on the Navy frigate program. Are there any plans for increased domestic production of naval vessels, considering that there are commercial shipyards in the country, Subic, Cebu, etc.? From reports, it appears that Abu Sayyaf and other insurgent groups have speedboats that outpace our naval vessels. How accurate are these reports? What's being done to counter the speed of these vessels? Do we have any intelligence as to the ports, improvised or otherwise, these speedboats operate out of? And do we have any plans of acquiring comparable fast craft for our own Navy? What is our cyber warfare strategy? How do we plan to address the cost, at nabanggit po ito ni Sec. Lorenzana kanina, the cost of providing pensions for our retired heroes in uniform? May matututunan po ba tayo sa mutual fund ng United States? What are your thoughts on automated and drone warfare? In any projected conflict, can our armed forces expect to keep and maintain air superiority? Given that we might have a hard time in that, do we have any plans in place to upgrade our air defense capability or acquire area denial weapons? How about addressing problems of mobility and logistics when we don't have air superiority? So 12 planes lang nga ba tayo? Are our forces adequately equipped for combat in urban and built-up terrain? So what equipment and training do our men and women in uniform need? So lalo na reflecting on the AFP's experiences in the Zamboanga and Marawi sieges. Close air support is often our trump card against insurgents and extremists. Are our CAS assets sufficient for this mission? Were our new FA-50s used for CAS, and how did they perform? Do our units have sufficient artillery support? It appears a number of our batteries are still equipped with World War II era pieces. And last but not the least, Mr. Chairman, what are our current sea lift and airlift capacities? Do we have sufficient air and sea assets to transport units to trouble spots in a timely manner? And any reflections that the DND and AFP may have on constructively engaging China? I've had occasion to share some of my concerns about this with our Chief of Staff. so in the Spratlys and other contested areas in the West Philippine Sea. So I look forward, Mr. Chair, to hopefully an executive session, and if you have any other follow-up questions, idadaan ko po sa inyo sa plenary debates. Maraming salamat po at magkita po tayo muli.
Thank you, Madam.
On the thought, and I understand Senator Trillanes and the Chief of Staff, Charlie Galvez, will talk after so we'll leave it at that. On that note, we will adjourn this budget hearing and see you at the plenary. Maybe after the break, mga December na siguro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Tulog muna kayo.